Hello everyone! Welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started! What if Naruto disappears during Chunin exams and returned with female Sasuke and daughter? And also check the description. So let's begin the story. The canopy of the Forest of Death swallowed what little sunlight dared to penetrate its ancient branches, casting the forest floor in a perpetual twilight. Massive tree roots erupted from the earth like the twisted fingers of giants, while the sweet sour scent of decay mingled with the metallic tang of blood that had seeped into the soil over generations of shinobi trials. Team 7 moved in tense formation through the undergrowth. 3 days into the second phase of the Chunin exams, their nerves were frayed and muscles aching. "We need to find somewhere defensible for the night," Sasuke muttered, obsidian eyes scanning the shadows. The young Uchiha's raven hair fell across pale features as fingers twitched instinctively toward the kunai holster. Sakura brushed a strand of pink hair from her face, nodding in agreement. "Our scroll won't do us any good if we're too exhausted to reach the tower." Her green eyes darted nervously between the trees, seeing enemies in every shadow. "You guys worry too much." Naruto's voice cut through the forest's eerie silence like a kunai slicing paper. The blonde genin bounded ahead, grinning with infectious confidence that made Sakura wince and Sasuke's eyes narrow. "We'll grab another scroll. Believe it." "Nobody's gonna." "Shut up, idiot," Sasuke hissed, grabbing Naruto's orange jacket and yanking him behind a massive root. "Do you want every team in the forest to find us?" Naruto's blue eyes flashed with indignation. "Let go, bastard." "I wasn't being that loud." Sasuke's grip tightened for a moment. Something flickered across the Uchiha's face, an emotion so brief Naruto couldn't place it, before Sasuke roughly released him. "Just keep your voice down," Sasuke whispered, turning away sharply. Sakura sighed, the familiar tension between her teammates like a physical weight. "Both of you stop it. We need to work together." If the wind shifted, all three genin froze as a wave of killing intent washed over them, so thick and suffocating it felt like drowning in ice water. Naruto's lungs seized, his body trembling beyond his control. Beside him, Sakura had gone deathly pale, while Sasuke's breathing had become shallow and rapid. Well. The voice slithered through the trees like a poisonous mist. "What interesting little prey we have here." A figure dropped from the canopy above, landing with impossible grace on a branch 30 feet away. Tall and slender, with long black hair framing a chalk-white face, the stranger smiled with lips too wide and too thin to seem human. "The last Uchiha, and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki." "How fortunate for me." Sasuke recovered first, fingers flashing through seals. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. A roaring sphere of flames illuminated the twilight forest, casting monstrous shadows as it hurtled toward the stranger. The figure melted away like smoke, reappearing instantly behind Sakura. "Too slow," the stranger whispered, sending her flying with a casual backhand that shattered the trunk of a nearby tree. "Sakura-chan!" Naruto screamed, rage boiling through his veins. He lunged forward, kunai in hand, only to be caught by the throat and slammed into the ground with enough force to leave a crater. "Patience, little fox," the stranger purred, golden serpentine eyes gleaming with amusement. "I'll play with you after I've finished with Sasuke-kun." Sasuke attacked with everything. Shuriken, wire traps, taijutsu, fire techniques, moving with the lethal precision that had made the Uchiha clan legendary. But it was like fighting a phantom. The stranger dodged every attack with contemptuous ease, all while laughing that horrible, slithering laugh. "You have potential, Sasuke-kun," the stranger said, elongated neck stretching impossibly as he dodged another fireball. Such fire in those eyes. "But you need more, hatred," Sasuke faltered, just for an instant. It was enough. The stranger's neck extended like a striking snake, fangs bared. Sasuke tried to leap away but couldn't move fast enough. The fangs sank deep into the junction between neck and shoulder. A scream tore from Sasuke's throat, high and raw with agony. The sound cut through Naruto like a blade, shattering something inside him. "Sasuke!" Red chakra erupted around Naruto's body as he hurled himself at the stranger, his nails lengthening into claws, whisker marks deepening on his cheeks, eyes bleeding from blue to crimson. "I'll kill you!" The stranger released Sasuke, who crumpled to the ground clutching the wound, black marks spreading across pale skin like spilled ink. "Orochimaru," the stranger introduced himself with a mocking bow. "Remember that name, Naruto-kun. One day, your friend will seek me out willingly." Naruto slashed wildly, the nine-tails chakra boiling around him in a miasma of rage and killing intent. Trees splintered and earth cracked beneath his feet as he pursued Orochimaru through the forest, leaving destruction in his wake. Such power, Orochimaru observed, eyes gleaming with scientific curiosity, but so uncontrolled. Like a child with a knife. Shut up! Naruto roared, forming a familiar cross-shaped hand seal. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Dozens of snarling Narutos filled the clearing, each wreathed in the Nine-Tails' malevolent red chakra. They attacked as one, a tidal wave of rage and claws. For the first time, Orochimaru's smile faltered. He hadn't expected this level of power from the boy. Back at the site of their initial confrontation, Sakura regained consciousness with a groan. Her vision swam as she pushed herself upright, tasting blood where she'd bitten her cheek. The forest floor trembled beneath her, and distant crashes echoed like thunder. Sasuke-kun! She gasped, spotting her teammate's crumpled form. Sasuke lay curled on the ground, face contorted in agony as black marks spread across pale skin. Sweat plastered raven hair to a forehead burning with fever. Between jagged breaths, Sasuke whimpered, a sound so vulnerable it froze Sakura's blood. She crawled to Sasuke's side, hands hovering helplessly. Sasuke-kun, what did he do to you? The Uchiha's eyes fluttered open, glazed with pain. Sakura. Sasuke rasped, voice higher than usual in distress. Naruto, where? A blinding flash of violet light split the darkness, followed by a shockwave that nearly knocked Sakura over. She threw herself protectively across Sasuke's body as the debris rained around them. Naruto, she whispered, her heart pounding against her ribs. Half a mile away, Naruto stood face to face with Orochimaru, his shadow clones reduced to smoke. Blood trickled from a dozen wounds that closed almost as quickly as they formed. The Nine-Tails chopper bubbled around him like a living thing, scorching the earth beneath his feet. Fascinating, Orochimaru said, licking blood from a kunai with his unnaturally long tongue. The seal is weakening already. I wonder what would happen if I pushed you further. Naruto snarled, forming more clones. They attacked from all sides, forcing Orochimaru to weave between them like a leaf in a hurricane. One managed to land a solid hit, tearing through the strange man's face, revealing another face beneath, pale and smiling. A fake skin. Naruto growled. A simple precaution, Orochimaru replied, performing a series of hand seals too fast for Naruto to follow. 5 elements seal. Fingertips wreathed in purple flames slammed into Naruto's stomach. The Nine-Tails chakra vanished instantly, leaving Naruto gasping and disoriented. Now run back to your friends, Orochimaru said, turning away dismissively. I've done what I came to do. Rage still burning in his veins, Naruto staggered after Orochimaru. I'm not finished with you. Something strange happened then. Where the 5 elements seal had struck Naruto's stomach, a faint blue glow began to pulse. At the same moment, back where Sasuke lay, the curse mark on the Uchiha's neck flared with sickly purple light. The air between Naruto and Orochimaru rippled like heat waves above a summer road. A sound like tearing fabric filled the clearing as reality itself seemed to split open, revealing a swirling vortex of chakra, violet and crimson energies spiraling together. Orochimaru's eyes widened with genuine surprise. Impossible. The vortex expanded, its pull intensifying. Trees groaned as their branches bent toward the rift. Loose stones and debris flew into the swirling mass of energy. What is this? Naruto shouted, digging his heels into the ground as the vortex pulled at him. What did you do? For once, Orochimaru seemed at a loss. This isn't my doing, he said, fascination overwhelming caution as he observed the phenomenon. The curse mark is reacting with the Nine-Tails chakra, creating a dimensional instability. The pull intensified. Naruto's feet slid through the dirt as he was dragged inexorably toward the vortex. He tried to form shadow clones to anchor himself, but the 5 elements seal disrupted his chakra control. Interesting, Orochimaru murmured, making no move to help as Naruto was pulled closer to the rift. Perhaps I should study this further. With a sound like a thunderclap, the vortex pulsed. Orochimaru leapt away as the force of the expansion threatened to consume him too. Naruto wasn't so fortunate. The edge of the vortex caught his leg, then his torso, pulling him in despite his desperate struggles. No! Sasuke! Sakura-chan! Naruto's fingers clawed at the earth, leaving deep furrows as the vortex dragged him relentlessly inward. His blue eyes, wide with terror, met Orochimaru's calculating gaze. Help me! Orochimaru merely tilted his head, observing with scientific detachment. Farewell, Naruto-kun. How unexpected, but fortuitous. One less obstacle in my path. With a final scream that echoed through the forest of death, Naruto vanished into the swirling vortex. The rift collapsed in on itself with a sound like a dying breath, leaving nothing but scorched earth and silence. Orochimaru stood for a moment, contemplating the empty space where Naruto had been. Then, with a thoughtful hum, he melted back into the shadows of the forest. Kakashi's Niken found them first. Pakin burst through the underbrush, the small pug's nose twitching as he tracked the scent of blood and fear. Kakashi! Over here! The silver-haired Jonin appeared in a blur of movement, visible eye widening at the scene before him. Sakura knelt beside Sasuke's unconscious form. Kunai held in trembling hands as she guarded her fallen teammate. Her green eyes were wild with fear and exhaustion, pink hair matted with dirt and blood. Sakura, Kakashi said gently, approaching with hands raised to show he wasn't a threat. It's all right. It's me. Recognition dawned in her eyes. The kunai slipped from her fingers as she collapsed forward, caught by Kakashi before she hit the ground. Sensei, she sobbed, fingers clutching at his vest. He took Sasuke-kun and Naruto went after him. There was a light. I couldn't. Slow down, Kakashi soothed, even as dread pulled in his stomach. He glanced at Sasuke, noting the strange mark visible on the pale neck, and the waves of dark chakra emanating from it. Who attacked you? He said. His name was Orochimaru, Sakura whispered. Kakashi went very still. Behind him, the ANBU team that had accompanied him exchanged alarmed glances behind their masks. And Naruto? Kakashi asked, his voice carefully neutral. Where is he? Fresh tears spilled down Sakura's face. I don't know. There was fighting, explosions, then nothing. I couldn't leave Sasuke-kun to check. I'm sorry, Sensei. Kakashi signaled to the ANBU team. Two broke off immediately, vanishing into the forest to search for signs of Naruto. You did the right thing, Sakura, Kakashi assured her, lifting Sasuke carefully. The Uchiha felt lighter than expected in his arms. Let's give you both to safety. As they leapt through the trees toward the tower at the center of the forest of death, Kakashi's mind raced with grim possibilities. Orochimaru's return to Konoha after so many years could only mean trouble. The mark on Sasuke's neck, almost certainly a curse mark, was evidence enough of the Sanin's sinister intentions. And Naruto. Kakashi's chest tightened painfully at the thought of his sensei's son facing one of the most dangerous missing nin in the shinobi world alone. The ANBU who had gone to search returned as they reached the tower, their body language conveying the news before they spoke. No sign of Uzumaki Naruto, the hawk-masked ANBU reported quietly. Just a large area of devastation and strange chakra residue unlike anything we've encountered before. Kakashi nodded, his expression hidden behind his mask. But inside, where no one could see, something cracked. I'm sorry, Minato-sensei. I failed to protect your son. The Hokage's pipe remained unlit as he listened to Kakashi's report. The old man's face, already lined with age, seemed to have gathered new wrinkles in the space of hours. And you're certain it was Orochimaru? The third Hokage asked, though they both knew the answer. Kakashi nodded. Sakura's description was unmistakable. And the curse mark on Sasuke confirms it. The Hokage closed his eyes briefly. How is the Uchiha boy? Stable for now. The medical team has him in isolation. They've never seen a curse mark like this before, but they're doing what they can to contain it. And still no sign of Naruto? Kakashi's visible eye lowered. None, Lord Hokage. We've had every available shinobi searching the forest of death. There's no trace of him beyond the site of the dimensional disturbance Sakura described. The Hokage rose from his desk and moved to the window, gazing out at the village bathed in the soft glow of sunset. For a moment, he looked every one of his 70 years. Dispatch ANBU teams to expand the search beyond the village, he ordered, his voice steady despite the weight behind his words. Alert our allies. I want Naruto found. Yes, Lord Hokage. As Kakashi turned to leave, the Hokage spoke again, almost to himself. First, Orochimaru returns. Then, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki vanishes without a trace. He shook his head. I fear this is only the beginning of our troubles, Kakashi. Kakashi paused at the door. Lord Hokage, what do you think happened to him? The old man was silent for a long moment. I don't know, he admitted finally. But Naruto Uzumaki has his father's stubborn will and his mother's fierce heart. If anyone could survive whatever Orochimaru unleashed, it would be him. Kakashi nodded, clinging to that slender thread of hope as he left to coordinate the search efforts. In the hospital, Sasuke Uchiha tossed fitfully in a fever dream, pale hands clutching at the sheets. Behind closed eyelids, Sharingan flared in response to nightmares of serpents and swirling vortexes of chakra. And in the space between conscious and unconscious thought, a name formed on lips too dry to speak it. Naruto. Konoha breathed differently now. The village still sprawled across the same valley, still nestled beneath the same watchful faces carved into the mountainside. But something fundamental had shifted in the 5 years since the ill-fated Chunin exams. Perhaps it was the rebuilt Eastern Quarter, where Orochimaru's failed invasion had left scars. Perhaps it was the absence of the third Hokage's piped smoke wafting from the tower at dusk. Or perhaps it was simply that time had swept through Konoha like a restless wind, carrying away the old and familiar, leaving the strange and new in its wake. Tsunade's knuckles whitened around the edge of her desk as she surveyed the stack of mission reports. Sake cup untouched beside her elbow. Outside her window, summer lightning flickered through storm clouds gathering over the Hokage monument, illuminating her predecessor's stone face in stark relief. Lady Tsunade? Shizen's voice cut through her thoughts. Her assistant stood in the doorway, clutching a familiar pig to her chest. The border patrol reports have arrived, and the jonin you requested are here. Tsunade straightened, amber eyes hardening as she nodded. Send them in. They filed in like shadows. Taller, leaner, sharper-edged versions of the children they'd been 5 years ago. Tsunade studied them with a medic's precision, cataloging the changes. Broader shoulders, deeper voices, eyes that had seen too much, too soon. Shikamaru Nara, hands perpetually tucked into pockets, but now wearing the standard flak jacket of a jonin commander. His trademark slouch couldn't hide the analytical edge that had made him Tsunade's chief strategist at 17. Kiba Inuzuka, wild-haired and pharaoh-grinned, with Akamaru, no longer a puppy but a massive beast, padding silently at his side. The red fawn marks on his cheeks seemed deeper, more earned. Hinata Hyuga, still soft-spoken but standing tall now, her lavender eyes direct and unflinching where once they'd sought the floor. The shy girl had blossomed into a kunoichi who led ANBU tracking teams with quiet authority. Sakura Haruno, standing at Tsunade's right hand, had perhaps changed the most. Gone was the long pink hair, replaced by a practical shortcut that framed determined green eyes. Her fists, now capable of shattering mountains, remained carefully unclenched at her sides. Patrol Team Epsilon encountered something unusual at the northeast border. Tsunade began without preamble. A chakra signature they couldn't identify, massive, but fluctuating, unstable. Lightning flashed again, closer now. Thunder rumbled through the office walls. Is it? Hinata began, then paused, as if afraid to give voice to hope. Tsunade's eyes flit to her, then away. We don't know. That's why I'm sending you for. You knew them both best. The unspoken names hung in the air like smoke. Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke Uchiha. One vanished without a trace during the Chunin exams. The other disappeared 3 years later, abandoning the village in pursuit of his brother, both presumed dead. With all due respect, Lady Hokage, Shikamaru drawled, but the careful laziness in his voice couldn't hide the tension beneath. We've had false alarms before. This is different, Sakura cut in, her voice sharp as a kunai. She pushed a report across the desk. Look at the chakra pattern analysis. It's got the same resonance frequency. Like his. Kiba snatched up the paper, nostrils flaring. I don't need a report. If he's out there, Akamaru and I will find him. The massive dog beside him rumbled agreement, hackles rising. What about Sasuke? Hinata asked quietly. Silence fell. There's been no sign of Uchiha in 2 years, Tsunade said finally. Not since the reports of his confrontation with Itachi in the Land of Rivers. You all know what Andy found at that site. More silence. They all remembered. The scorched earth. The blood. The shattered sword with the Uchiha crest melted into the hilt. This mission has 2 objectives, Tsunade continued briskly. Identify the source of the unusual chakra signature. And if by some miracle it is... She hesitated, and in that hesitation they heard the same fragile hope they each nursed secretly. If it is him, bring him home. Immediately and intact. Questions come later. And if it's a trap? Shikamaru asked, ever the strategist. Tsunade's smile was razor thin. Then you bring me the heads of whoever thought they could use Naruto's memory against us. They nodded as one, then vanished in 4 distinct swirls of leaves, leaving Tsunade alone with Shizen. Do you really think? Shizen began. Tsunade reached for her sake cup, downing it in one swift motion. I think, she said carefully, setting the cup down with a sharp click, that the dead rarely stay buried in our world. Especially the ones too stubborn to accept their fate. Outside, the storm broke over Konoha, sheets of summer rain sluicing down the Hokage monument's impassive faces. The rain hammered the forest canopy like 1,000 tiny fists, transforming the dirt road into a ribbon of mud that wound through Fire Country's endless trees. 2 figures, one tall, one small, trudged along the saturated path, cloaked against the downpour. Are we almost there, Papa? The child's voice piped up, high and clear despite the weather's fury. The taller figure adjusted his hood, revealing a glimpse of gold hair and tan skin marked with whisker-like scars. Almost Hikari-chan. Can you sense it yet? The small girl, no more than 4, closed her eyes in concentration. It feels busy and bright, like lots and lots of little suns all squished together. A chuckle rumbled from the man's chest. That's right. Those are people. They're chakra. That's Konoha. Will they like us? Uncertainty crept into the child's voice. The man stopped, crouching down to eye level with his daughter. Raindrops pattered against his back as he adjusted her hood, revealing a cherubic face framed by midnight black hair and startling blue eyes. They'll love you, Hikari-chan. How could they not? And this is your home too, even if you haven't seen it yet. His voice softened. It's where your papa grew up. And mama? Something flickered across the man's face. Pain, remembrance, determination. Yes. Your mama too. A third figure materialized beside them, slender and graceful despite the rain-slicked terrain. We're being watched, a low, melodious voice murmured. A face hidden behind an ornate half-mask and deep hood revealed only pale skin and dark, wary eyes. 4 chakra signatures approaching. Fast. The man straightened, nodding. I expected that. Stay close to Hikari. The masked figure tightened gloved hands on the child's shoulders as the man stepped forward, facing the direction of the oncoming presence. They arrived in near silence. 4 shapes coalescing from the rain-swept forest like ghosts, made solid. Water streamed from their flak jackets as they formed a loose semicircle, faces harshly illuminated by lightning flashes. Identify yourselves, Shikamaru called, hands already forming the rat seal of his shadow possession jutsu. The tall man pushed his hood back completely, revealing a face achingly familiar yet changed, sharper-jawed, harder-eyed, marked by experiences none of them could fathom. Golden hair, longer now, clung wetly to his forehead, partially obscuring a gleaming metal headband. Naruto Uzumaki, he said, voice deeper than they remembered but carrying the same undercurrent of stubborn certainty. I've come home. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Rain pattered against leaves. Thunder rumbled distantly. Then Kiba's hoarse whisper, holy shit. Hinata swayed slightly, steadying herself against Akamaru's massive flank. Shikamaru's hands dropped from their seal, hanging limply at his sides. Sakura stepped forward, green eyes wide and disbelieving. Naruto? Her voice broke on his name. How? Where have you? It's a long story, Sakura-chan. His eyes, still that impossible blue, but harder now, like sapphires instead of summer sky, crinkled at the corners. One I'd rather not tell in a downpour. Who are they? Shikamaru demanded, chin jerking toward the masked figure and child. Naruto's expression softened as he glanced back at his companions. My family. The word fell like a stone into still water, sending ripples of shock through the 4 Jonin. Your what? Kiba spluttered. Naruto's arm curved protectively around the small girl who peered up at them with curious blue eyes. This is my daughter, Hikari. The pride in his voice was unmistakable. Then, gesturing toward the masked figure, and my wife, Suki. The slender figure inclined her head slightly but remained silent, one hand resting on an ornate katana at her hip. This is impossible, Sakura whispered, taking another step forward. Her eyes raked over Naruto. Taller now, broader-shouldered, his orange and black clothing replaced by a high-collared cloak over standard Jonin attire. You vanished. You were gone for 5 years. We thought you were dead. I almost was, Naruto replied, something dark flashing behind his eyes. But that's part of the long story. Hinata activated her Byakugan, veins bulging around her eyes as she studied the 3 figures before them. She gasped softly. His chakra. It's definitely Naruto, but it's changed. Expanded. And the child. Her voice faltered as her gaze shifted to the masked woman. I've never seen a chakra network like hers. It's like, it's been rewritten somehow. Let me get this straight, Shikamaru said, pinching the bridge of his nose. You disappear without a trace for 5 years. Everyone thinks you're dead. And you show up in the middle of a storm with a wife nobody's ever heard of and a kid who can't be more than, what, 4? 4.5. The child corrected indignantly, puffing out her cheeks. Despite everything, a smile tugged at the corner of Shikamaru's mouth. Right. 4.5. Look, Naruto said, his patience clearly wearing thin as rain streamed down his face. I'll answer all your questions. I'll talk to Granny Tsunade. I'll do whatever security checks you need. But my daughter's getting soaked, and we've been traveling for weeks. Can we do this inside the village? Please? The 4 Jonin exchanged glances. We need to inform Lady Tsunade, Sakura said. I'll go, Hinata volunteered, her eyes lingering on Naruto for a heartbeat before she vanished in a blur of movement. Kiba approached slowly, nostrils flaring as he took in Naruto's scent. Akamaru padded forward, massive head tilting curiously as he sniffed the newcomers. The huge dog's ears perked forward, and he gave a soft whine of recognition. Akamaru says it's really you, Kiba said, wonder and suspicion warring in his voice. But you smell different. Like you've been somewhere else. Somewhere not of this world. Naruto nodded, unsurprised. That's actually pretty accurate. Shikamaru sighed heavily. What a drag. Alright, let's get moving before this troublesome situation gets even more complicated. Keep your hands visible, and no sudden movements. Papa, the little girl whispered, tugging at Naruto's cloak. The dog is really big. Naruto chuckled, lifting her onto his shoulders in one smooth motion. That's Akamaru. He's a Niken, a ninja dog. And these are some of my old friends, Shikamaru, Sakura, and Kiba. The child blinked solemnly at them from her perch, raindrops catching on her long eyelashes. I'm Hikaru Uzumaki, she announced with the gravity only a 4-year-old could muster. Papa says Konoha has the best ramen in the world, but Mama says he's exaggerating. She pronounced the word with careful precision. Something in Sakura's chest constricted painfully as she watched Naruto adjust his daughter on his shoulders with practiced ease. She glanced at the silent, masked woman, Suki, who remained vigilant, her body angled to keep both Naruto and the child in her sideline at all times. Let's move, Shikamaru ordered, taking point as they began the trek toward Konoha's gates. Sakura fell into step beside Naruto, stealing glances at him from the corner of her eye. The boy she remembered, loud, brash, perpetually grinning, had been replaced by a man who moved with quiet confidence, his boundless energy now contained and focused. Her medical training catalogued the changes. The broadened shoulders, the calloused hands, the faint scar bisecting his left eyebrow, the watchful awareness in eyes that used to broadcast every emotion. You really have a family, she murmured, still struggling to process this reality. Naruto's gaze softened as it flicked toward the masked woman walking on his other side. Yeah, he said quietly. I do. But how? Where have you been all this time? Sakura couldn't keep the hurt from her voice. We searched for you for years. Kakashi-sensei nearly worked himself to death trying to find you. Guilt flashed across Naruto's face. I couldn't come back. Not at first. Then, it got complicated. He adjusted Hikari, who had begun to doze against his head, her small hands tangled in his wet hair. I wanted to, Sakura. Every day. Before she could press further, the massive gates of Konoha loomed before them, the village's lights blurred by sheets of rain. Silhouetted figures stood waiting. An honor guard of A&D flanking the unmistakable figure of the fifth Hokage. Tsunade stood like a statue beneath the shelter of the gates, arms crossed over her formidable chest, ember eyes narrowed as she watched their approach. Beside her, Kakashi Hataki's single visible eye widened fractionally as it settled on Naruto, his decades of shinobi discipline barely containing his shock. The party halted before the gates. Rainwater pooled at their feet as silence stretched between them. Tsunade stepped forward, her face unreadable as she studied the man who had once been Konoha's #1 hyperactive knucklehead ninja. Naruto Uzumaki, she said finally, her voice carefully neutral. You have a lot of explaining to do. Naruto met her gaze unflinchingly, shifting his sleeping daughter into his arms. I know, Granny Tsunade, he said, a ghost of his old grin flickering across his face. But I'm home now. And I'm not going anywhere. Behind him, the masked woman tensed almost imperceptibly as Kakashi's eye narrowed, focusing on her with sudden intensity. And who, Kakashi asked softly, deceptively casual, might you be? The woman's gloved hand tightened on her katana hilt. She said nothing, but beneath her mask, dark eyes met Kakashi's in a silent challenge. She's my wife, Naruto answered, shifting slightly so that his body partially blocked her from view. Suki. Suki, Kakashi repeated, tasting the name like an unfamiliar spice. His eye curved upward in what might have been a smile. Welcome to Konoha. Forgive me, but you seem strangely familiar. Tension crackled between them like the lightning still illuminating the storm clouds above. The masked woman inclined her head slightly. I've been told I have one of those faces, she murmured, her voice low and melodious, with an accent none of them could quite place. Tsunade cut through the tension with a sharp gesture. Enough. Anbi will escort you to the administrative building. We have protocols for returning shinobi, especially ones who've been missing and presumed dead for 5 years. Her eyes softened almost imperceptibly as they rested on the sleeping child in Naruto's arms. Sakura, arrange quarters for the family, and summon Inoichi Yamanaka to my office immediately. That won't be necessary, the masked woman, Suki, spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. We've traveled a long way. My daughter needs a proper bed, not an interrogation chamber. I don't believe I was asking, Tsunade replied, steel entering her tone. Naruto stepped between them, his free hand raised placatingly. Granny Tsunade, please. Hikari's exhausted. We've been on the road for weeks. Let us get her settled, and I'll tell you everything you want to know. His blue eyes, once so easy to read, now held depths Tsunade couldn't begin to fathom. I swear it. Tsunade regarded him for a long moment, then sighed. Fine. But you will be under ANBU surveillance at all times, and I expect you in my office at dawn. Her gaze shifted to Suki. Both of you. Thank you, Naruto said simply. As they passed through the gates, entering Konoha proper for the first time, Naruto paused, drinking in the sight of the village shrouded in rain and mist. Despite the downpour, villagers had begun to gather, drawn by whispers that spread like wildfire. Naruto Uzumaki has returned. It's smaller than I remember, he murmured, almost to himself. Or maybe you've grown, Kakashi suggested, falling into step beside his former student. His eye crinkled with what might have been a smile or a grimace. In more ways than one, it seems. Naruto adjusted his sleeping daughter. Her small face nestled against his shoulder. Yeah, he said softly, glancing at the silent, vigilant woman walking at his side. I guess I have. They moved through the village as rumors raced ahead of them, lights appearing in windows as villagers peered out into the stormy night. By morning, all of Konoha would know. The dead had returned home, and he hadn't come alone. High above the village, on the rain-slick surface of the Hokage monument, a solitary figure watched the procession through the streets below. A raven circled overhead once, then landed on the figure's shoulder. So, Itachi Uchiha murmured, his Sharingan eyes gleaming in the darkness as they tracked the masked woman at Naruto's side. You found a way back after all, little sister. The storm intensified, lightning illuminating his gaunt face for an instant before darkness reclaimed the night, swallowing him whole. Dawn broke over Konoha like a fever dream, hazy, surreal, throbbing with whispers that ricocheted through streets still glistening from the night's storm. By sunrise, the rumors had crystallized into a single, impossible truth. Naruto Uzumaki had returned from the dead, and he hadn't come alone. Ino Yamanaka slammed both palms on the counter of her family's flower shop, blue eyes wide with disbelief. A wife? And a kid? You're absolutely certain? Sakura nodded, dark circles under her eyes betraying her sleepless night. I saw them with my own eyes, Ino. Touched them with my own hands. Her fingers trembled slightly as she accepted the steaming tea. It's really him. But where has he? The shop door banged open, setting the wind chimes into a frantic dance. Kiba burst in, Akamaru at his heels, followed by Hinata, Shikamaru, and Choji. You've heard? Kiba's voice crackled with excitement. Everyone's heard, Shikamaru drawled, though the tension in his posture belied his nonchalant tone. Half the village is camped outside the Hokage Tower. Indeed, beyond the shop windows, the streets churned with bodies, shinobi abandoning posts, merchants deserting stalls, families dragging wide-eyed children, all streaming toward the administrative district like metal filings to a magnet. What's she like? Ino demanded, leaning forward. This wife of his? 5 faces turned to Sakura. Strange, she said after a moment, her medic's mind cataloging details. She wears a half-mask. Barely speaks. Moves like she's ready for an attack from any direction. Sakura's green eyes narrowed. And there's something about her chakra signature that Hinata says is unusual. It's been rewritten, Hinata said softly, her pale eyes troubled. Not just altered. Fundamentally changed, as if someone rewove the very pattern of it. Silence fell, broken only by the muted roar of the crowd growing outside. And the child? Choji ventured. A small, pained smile touched Sakura's lips. She has his eyes. But her hair. She hesitated. It's black as a raven's wing. Before anyone could respond, a thunderous boom shook the building, the unmistakable sound of Tsunade's fists connecting with something solid. I think, Shikamaru said drily, the debriefing has begun. What do you mean you weren't in this dimension? Tsunade's roar rattled the windows of her office. The ANBU guard stationed outside exchanged glances, unconsciously shifting away from the door. Inside, Naruto stood unflinching before the Hokage's desk, arms crossed over his chest. Gone was the jumpsuit of his youth, replaced by standard Jonin blues beneath a high-collared white cloak trimmed with flame patterns. His Hittite gleamed, newly issued but warm with the confidence of a shinobi who'd earned it twice over. Exactly what I said, Granny Tsunade. His voice had deepened, roughened by years and experience. But that stubborn undertone remained. The vortex Orochimaru's attack created, it wasn't just space manipulation. It tore a hole between dimensions. Tsunade sank back into her chair. Honey-colored eyes narrowed to slits. Behind her, Shizen clutched Tantan tighter, while Kakashi leaned against the wall, deceptively casual. Start from the beginning, Tsunade commanded. And don't leave a single detail out. Naruto's gaze flicked to the door. Suki and Hikari are being well looked after, Kakashi interjected smoothly. Sakura's with them. Something like relief, tinged with wariness, crossed Naruto's face. All right, he conceded, dropping into the chair opposite Tsunade. It started in the Forest of Death. Orochimaru attacked us, Team 7. He was after Sasuke. Tsunade and Kakashi exchanged glances. We know this part, Tsunade said. Sakura's testimony. The curse mark. You pursuing Orochimaru, and then, vanishing. Naruto nodded, blue eyes darkening like a storm-tossed ocean. Orochimaru hit me with some kind of seal. 5 elements, I think. It messed with the Nine-Tails chakra. His hand touched his stomach absently. But he didn't expect what happened next. None of us did. His gaze turned inward, voice dropping to a near whisper. The air tore. Like fabric ripping. And there was this vortex. Purple and red chakra swirling together. It pulled me in before I could even scream. Tsunade leaned forward, sake cup forgotten. And then I fell. Naruto's voice took on a distant quality. For what felt like forever, through darkness shot through with streaks of light. Like I was tumbling through the void between stars. The office seemed to recede as his words painted the scene. 5 years earlier, pain. It exploded through every cell as Naruto crashed onto solid ground, the impact sending jagged bolts of agony through his spine. He gasped, tasting copper and dirt, blinking as dual moons, one crimson, one silver, swam into focus overhead. What the hell? He croaked, pushing himself upright. The landscape sprawling before him stole his breath. Towering crystal formations glittered beneath alien skies, their facets reflecting moonlight in prismatic shards. Twisted trees with bark like polished obsidian stretched gnarled limbs toward the stars. The air itself felt wrong. Too thick, too sweet, charged with energy that made his skin prickle. Sakura? His voice echoed strangely, absorbed by the crystalline structures. Sasuke? Only silence answered, broken by the distant cry of something that definitely wasn't a bird. Panic clawed up his throat. Hello? Anybody? Movement. A flash of dark fabric among crystal spires. Naruto spun, kunai materializing in his hand. Who's there? Show yourself. The figure staggered forward, a blur of black and crimson, clutching at their side. Blood leaked between pale fingers, dripping onto crystalline soil with soft plinks that seemed obscenely loud in the silence. Help. The word was barely a breath, feminine and pained, before the figure crumpled. Naruto lunged forward, catching them before they hit the ground. Slender. Light. A girl or young woman, bundled in a tattered cloak, face obscured by a blood-smeared mask and tangled dark hair. Hey. Stay with me. Naruto shook her gently. What happened? Where are we? Dark eyes fluttered, focusing on him with agonizing effort. Uzumaki. A whisper of recognition, then unconsciousness claimed her. Naruto's heart hammered against his ribs. How did she know his name? Who was she? Where the hell were they? The wound at her side pulsed with sickly purple light. A curse mark, writhing across pale skin like a living thing, consuming her from within. Shit, Naruto hissed. Shit! He hoisted her into his arms, her weight nothing against his desperation, and ran toward the only shelter he could see, a cave mouth yawning at the base of a massive crystal spire. You're saying she was already there? Tsunade interrupted, jolting Naruto back to the present. In this pocket dimension? Yeah. Naruto's eyes clouded with memory. She said she'd been pulled through about an hour before me. Different entry point, same dimension. And you didn't recognize her? Kakashi's voice was carefully neutral. A flash of something. Guilt? Pain crossed Naruto's face. No. She was different. The mask, the voice, the chakra signature. And she was badly injured. The curse mark was spreading, consuming her from the inside out. This curse mark, Tsunade pressed. Describe it. 3 tomo, like Sasuke's, but... Naruto's brow furrowed. Corrupted somehow. The dimensional rift had damaged it, made it unstable. It was killing her. So what did you do? Shizen asked softly. Naruto's mouth quirked in a shadow of his old grin. What I always do. Something reckless. The pocket dimension for years ago. You're insane, Suki rasped, propped against the crystal wall of their makeshift home. After a year in this realm, they'd expanded the cave into something resembling a dwelling, scavenging materials from the strange landscape. Naruto shrugged, azure eyes glinting with determination as he painted intricate seals across the stone floor. Probably. But you're getting worse. It was true. Despite their efforts, the curse mark had continued its inexorable spread. Once confined to her side, it now snaked across half her torso, pulsing with malevolent energy that left her feverish and weak. The Nine-Tails chakra could kill you, she argued, dark eyes fever bright above the half-mask she refused to remove completely, even after a year together. Or it could burn the curse mark out. Naruto didn't look up from his work. I've been studying the scrolls we found in that crystal temple. The chakra patterns are similar to what Jiraiya taught me. Pervy Sage? A hint of amusement colored her pain-strained voice. My mentor. You'd have hated him. Naruto grinned, then sobered. Look, I know it's risky. But if we do nothing... He left the sentence unfinished, both knowing the end. Suki's gaze dropped to her trembling hands. Why are you doing this? We barely knew each other before. Naruto's brush paused. Because no one deserves to die alone in a place like this. A beat. And because I think you're worth saving. Something fragile passed between them. Trust, perhaps. Or something deeper neither could yet name. Fine. She exhaled sharply. Let's do this before I change my mind. Naruto nodded, completing the final seal with a flourish. Lie in the center. And maybe bite down on something. This'll probably hurt. Comforting, she muttered, but complied, lowering herself gingerly into the center of the seal array. Her dark hair fanned out against the stone. Longer now after months without cutting. Naruto knelt beside her, palms hovering over the pulsing curse mark. Ready? She nodded once, eyes locked on his. He closed his eyes, diving deep within himself, into that familiar crimson-tinged darkness where malevolent chakra bubbled like magma beneath paper-thin restraints. Hey, Fox. I need to borrow some chakra. A rumbling growl. For what purpose, brat? To save a life. Gleaming eyes narrowed. Her life means that much to you. Naruto didn't hesitate. Yes. The Nine-Tails studied him for a long moment, then snorted. Fine. But if she dies, don't come crying to me. Chakra, hot, caustic, electric, coursed through Naruto's pathways. His eyes snapped open, now crimson with slitted pupils, as he placed both palms against Suki's curse mark. Her screams shattered the crystal formations outside their dwelling. The Nine-Tails chakra fought the curse mark like antibodies attacking an infection. Naruto explained, his voice steady despite the painful memory. It was brutal. The dimensional energy complicated things. Warped the chakra flows. Changed them both. Changed them how? Tsunade demanded. The curse mark began to dissolve, but it left scars, physical and energetic. And her chakra network. It was like it got rewritten. I've never seen anything like it. Naruto's gaze dropped to his hands, remembering. For a while, I thought she wouldn't survive, but she did, Kakashi observed quietly. A ghost of a smile touched Naruto's lips. She's always been a fighter, and this is when you began to develop feelings for her. Tsunade's tone was carefully clinical. Naruto's cheeks colored slightly. A flash of his younger self. Not exactly. That came later. The pocket dimension, 3 years ago. Your form is sloppy, Suki called, dodging Naruto's roundhouse kick with infuriating ease. 2 years of recovery had transformed her from the dying woman he'd found into a formidable opponent. Fast as lightning and twice as dangerous. Says the woman who couldn't walk 6 months ago. Naruto shot back, grinning as he pressed his attack. They danced across the crystalline clearing they used as a training ground, trading blows that echoed like thunder. Since Suki's recovery, they trained relentlessly, partly from necessity in this hostile realm, partly to maintain their sanity. Better to be honest than kind, she retorted, sweeping his legs from under him with brutal efficiency. Enemies won't coddle you. Naruto hit the ground hard, but rolled instantly to his feet, blue eyes gleaming with challenge. We're not enemies. Something flickered in her expression, visible even with the mask she still wore during training. No, she agreed softly. We're not. The atmosphere shifted subtly, charged with more than battle energy. They circled each other, movements fluid and precise, either willing to acknowledge the tension stretching between them. Your taijutsu has improved, she conceded, blocking his jab with her forearm. But your right side is still open when you... Naruto caught her wrist, using her momentum to pull her against him. They froze, breath mingling, heartbeats thundering in the sudden silence. Suki, don't. Her voice held warning, but she didn't pull away. It's been 2 years, he said quietly. Just us. We might never find a way home. That doesn't change anything. It changes everything. His gaze dropped to her mask. Why won't you let me see your face? All of it? Pain flashed in her dark eyes. Because you wouldn't understand. Try me. A long moment stretched between them, taut as a wire. Then, with trembling fingers, she reached for her mask. Wait, Tsunade interrupted, brow furrowed. She hadn't shown you her face after 2 years together in this dimension? Naruto shifted uncomfortably. The mask was important to her. For reasons I didn't understand then, and when she removed it? Kakashi pressed, his single visible eye intent. I recognized her, Naruto admitted. Not as Sasuke. I still had no idea. But as someone familiar, someone I'd known in a different life. What happened then? A soft laugh escaped him. What do you think? I kissed her. The pocket dimension, 3 years ago. The mask fell away, revealing features both achingly familiar and startlingly new. High cheekbones. Pale skin. Dark eyes that held shadows Naruto couldn't begin to fathom. Her face was delicate, beautiful in its sharp angles and haunted hollows. I know you, he breathed, reaching up to touch her cheek with callous fingers. How do I know you? Suki's eyes closed at his touch, conflict warring across her exposed face. You don't, she whispered. Not anymore. I think I do. His thumb traced the curve of her lower lip. I think I always have. When their lips met, it felt like coming home to a place he'd never been. We were married a year later, Naruto said, voice soft with memory. As much as 2 people can be married in a dimension without witnesses or officials. We built a life there, adapted to that world's rules. Found others, travelers, refugees from different dimensions, trapped like us. And the child? Tsunade asked. Pride illuminated Naruto's face from within. Hikari was born 2 years ago. The first child born in that realm, as far as anyone knew. The dimensional travelers called her a miracle. How did you get back? Kakashi's question cut through the sentiment. Naruto's expression sobered. That's where it gets complicated. Before he could elaborate, the office door burst open. Sakura stood in the threshold, chest heaving, eyes wild. Lady Tsunade, come quickly. The council has summoned the Uzumaki family. Danzo's called an emergency session. Tsunade surged to her feet, sake cup shattering in her grip. On what grounds? Security concerns. Sakura's voice dropped. And the child activated a Kekkei Genkai during a standard health examination. What Kekkei Genkai? Tsunade's voice was dangerously soft. Sakura met her gaze squarely. Sharingan. The room went deathly still. Slowly, all eyes turned to Naruto, whose face had drained of color. Where are they now? He demanded, already moving toward the door. The council chambers. I left clones with them, but Naruto vanished in a yellow flash, leaving only disturbed papers in his wake. Well, Kakashi said mildly into the stunned silence. That answers some questions and raises about 1,000 more. Tsunade was already reaching for her Hokage robes. Kakashi. With me. Now. Shizen, get Jiraiya. He returned from his mission last night. As they raced through the halls, Tsunade's mind whirled with implications. A child with Sharingan. Naruto's child. Which meant, you knew, didn't you? She accused Kakashi as they leapt across rooftops toward the council building. Kakashi's eye curved in what might have been a smile or a grimace. I suspected. The way she moves, her chakra signature beneath the distortion. And there's only one person Naruto would go to those lengths to protect. But it's impossible. Tsunade snarled. Sasuke Uchiha is male. Apparently, Kakashi replied drily, dimensional travel changes more than just your address. The council chambers hummed with barely restrained chaos when they arrived. On one side, the village elders and Danzo Shimura, faces set in stone. On the other, Naruto standing protectively before Suki, who clutched a wide-eyed Hikari to her chest. Demand answers. Danzo was saying, his visible eye gleaming with cold calculation. The sudden appearance of an Uchiha child after the clan's extinction cannot go unexplained. My daughter is an Uzumaki. Naruto's voice cut like a blade, chakra swirling visibly around him. And my wife's heritage is none of your concern, Danzo. It is when that heritage carries one of Konoha's most powerful bloodline limits. Danzo tapped his cane against the floor. A bloodline limit we believed extinct save for 2 individuals. Both male, one a traitor, one a mass murderer. Suki stood motionless, mask firmly in place. But her eyes burned with barely contained fury above it. That's enough. Tsunade's voice cracked like a whip as she strode into the chamber. This meeting was not authorized. With respect, Lady Hokage, Elder Koharu interjected, matters of village security are my purview, Tsunade finished coldly. And interrogating a child and her mother while separated from the father is not security, it's intimidation. The child displayed Sharingan, Danzo persisted. Spontaneously, during a simple reflex test. This suggests raw power and unknown heritage that must be. My daughter is 4 years old, Suki spoke for the first time, her voice low and deadly. Touch her, and they'll never find all the pieces. The threat hung in the air, electric with promise. Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder. Let's go, he murmured. Now, the family moved as one toward the exit, Anbu guards parting before Tsunade's sharp gesture. This isn't over, Uzumaki, Danzo called after them. Konoha has a right to know what you've brought back from the void. Naruto paused at the threshold, blue eyes glacial as he glanced back. Be careful what you wish for, Danzo. You might not like the answers. They swept from the chamber, leaving silence in their wake. Hours later, in the small apartment Tsunade had assigned them, Suki stood at the window, watching Konoha's lights wink on as dust settled over the village. Behind her, Naruto tucked an exhausted Hikari into bed, pressing a kiss to her forehead. She's finally asleep, he whispered, joining Suki at the window. Today was a lot. It'll only get worse, Suki murmured. Danzo won't stop. And if he discovers, he won't. Naruto's arms circled her waist, pulling her against him. I won't let him near either of you. Suki's laugh was bitter. You can't be everywhere, Naruto. And the longer we stay, the more dangerous it becomes. This is our home, he insisted. Hikari deserves to know where she comes from. She deserves to live. Suki turned in his embrace, eyes searching his. Promise me, if things go wrong, if they discover who I really am, you'll take her and run. Pain etched itself across Naruto's features. I won't leave you. Not again. Not ever. You might not have a choice. Her voice softened. They'd forgive you, eventually. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is too valuable. But me? A female Uchiha who's been lying to the entire village since childhood. Who abandoned her team? Who returned with unknown powers from an alien dimension? She shook her head. They'd lock me away and throw away the key. Or worse, I won't let that happen. Fierce conviction blazed in his eyes. We're in this together. Silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken fears. Finally, Suki sighed, reaching up to remove her mask completely. In the privacy of their quarters, she allowed herself this vulnerability, this truth. Moonlight sculpted her features that, despite subtle feminization from the dimensional energy's effects on the curse mark, remained unmistakably those of Sasuke Uchiha. Together then, she whispered, resting her forehead against his. Until they tear us apart. Naruto's arms tightened around her. They can try. Outside their window, a raven watched with gleaming red eyes before taking flight into the gathering darkness. Morning spilled across Konoha like liquid gold, burnishing rooftops and painting long shadows across streets already buzzing with activity. The village hummed with gossip, a living organism feeding on rumors and speculation that darted from mouth to ear like sparrows. Have you seen them? They say the child has the Sharingan. Impossible. The Uchiha are. Naruto Uzumaki. Can you believe it? Who is this woman he's brought back? The whispers crescendoed and fell, a symphony of curiosity that followed Sakura as she navigated the crowded market, pink hair catching sunlight as she ducked between vendors. Her arms were laden with groceries, fresh vegetables, rice, eggs, and several containers of instant ramen, destined for the small apartment where Konoha's most talked-about family had spent their first night back in the village, Naruto's family. The thought still hit her like a physical blow. Sakura's fist tightened around a bag of tomatoes, nearly crushing them before she caught herself. 5 years of grief, of wondering, of searching, and he'd been building a life somewhere else. With someone else. She couldn't finish the thought. Not yet. Not until she was certain. A flash of silver caught her eye. Kakashi, lounging against the bookstore wall with his nose buried in the latest Ika volume. His posture screamed casual disinterest, but Sakura knew better. His position offered a perfect sideline to the apartment building where the Uzumakis were staying. She veered toward him, grocery bags swinging. Keeping watch, sensei? Kakashi's visible eye crinkled in what might have been a smile. Ma, Sakura. Just enjoying some literature in the morning sun. Of course you are. She shifted her bags, joining him against the wall. Any movement? Naruto left at dawn, meeting with intelligence. The others remain inside. Kakashi turned a page, not looking up. Tsunade assigned you as their medical liaison? Yes. The word tasted bitter in her mouth. I'm supposed to check on Hikari after yesterday's incident. Kakashi's tone conveyed volumes. And are you ready for that? The question hung between them, sharp as a kunai. Sakura's jaw tightened. It's not about being ready. It's about doing my job, Sakura. Kakashi finally looked up, his lone eye serious. If your suspicions are correct. I don't have suspicions, she cut in too quickly. I have observations. And questions. Then perhaps you should start by asking them. He nodded toward the apartment building. A skilled medic with your observational training, you'll know the truth soon enough. Sakura inhaled deeply, steadying herself. That's what I'm afraid of. The knock echoed through the small apartment like thunder, jolting Suki from her meditation. She rose in one fluid motion, chakra already gathering at her fingertips as she slipped the half mask into place. It's Sakura, a voice called through the door. Medical checkup. Suki's eyes darted to the bedroom where Hikari still slept, exhausted from yesterday's emotional upheaval. She approached the door silently, senses straining for any hint of deception or ambush. Just you? She asked, voice carefully modulated. Just me, came the reply. Tsunade's orders. Suki hesitated, hand hovering over the lock. Naruto had left hours ago, promising to return by noon. She hadn't expected visitors so early. I brought breakfast, Sakura added, a hint of impatience coloring her voice. Including ramen. With a soft sigh, Suki unlatched the door, opening it just enough to assess the threat level. Sakura stood in the hallway, arms loaded with grocery bags, green eyes sharp and assessing beneath her strawberry pink hair. They studied each other for a heartbeat too long. May I come in? Sakura finally asked, breaking the tense silence. Suki stepped back, opening the door wider in silent invitation. Sakura brushed past her, the scent of spring flowers and antiseptic trailing in her wake, a combination uniquely hers. Kitchen's through there, Suki directed, gesturing to a narrow doorway. The apartment was small but functional, standard accommodations for visiting shinobi, hastily repurposed for a family. Signs of their presence were already evident. A child's drawing taped to the refrigerator, a collection of peculiar crystals arranged on the windowsill, kunai and shuriken laid out for cleaning on the coffee table. Sakura deposited the groceries on the counter, movements efficient as she began unpacking. I wasn't sure what you like, so I brought basics. She pulled out a bag of tomatoes, setting them aside. And these? They're in season. Suki froze, dark eyes narrowing above her mask. Why tomatoes? Just a guess. Sakura's voice was deliberately casual, but her gaze was anything but. Hikari still sleeping? Yes. Good. We need to talk. Sakura turned, abandoning any pretense of grocery sorting. Alone. The air between them crackled with tension, thick enough to choke on. Suki's hand drifted subtly toward the weapon holster strapped to her thigh. About? Don't. Sakura's voice sharpened. I spent 3 years training under Tsunade. I've patched up more ANBU than I can count. I know how to recognize a combat stance, even one as subtle as yours. She stepped forward, green eyes blazing. And I know how to recognize chakra pathways I've healed before. Suki went perfectly still, only her eyes betraying a flicker of emotion. I don't know what you're talking about. The scar on your left shoulder, courtesy of a mission to Wave Country. The minute fracturing your right radius, from when you blocked Gaara's sand attack during the Chunin exams. Sakura advanced another step. The unique way your chakra pools at your fingertips before you form hand seals. A habit you developed after mastering fire style. Each word hit like a physical blow, driving Suki back until she bumped against the kitchen counter. Stop. Your daughter has the Sharingan. Sakura's voice dropped to a whisper. Naruto's daughter. Which means either you're an Uchiha we've never heard of, or you're Mama? A small voice interrupted from the bedroom doorway. Hikari stood rubbing sleep from her eyes, black hair tousled, oversized shirt slipping off one shoulder. I'm hungry. The tension shattered like glass. Sakura blinked, professional mask sliding instantly into place as she turned toward the child. Good morning, Hikari-chan. I'm Sakura. We met yesterday, remember? Hikari nodded sleepily, padding into the kitchen on bare feet. The one with pink hair. Papa says you can break mountains with your pinky. A startled laugh escaped Sakura. That's actually pretty accurate. Can we have pancakes? Hikari asked, tugging at her mother's sleeve. Suki's rigid posture softened as she looked down at her daughter. Of course. She reached for the flower Sakura had brought, movements graceful despite the tension still coiled in her shoulders. Go wash your face first. As Hikari scampered away, Sakura opened her mouth to resume their conversation, but Suki cut her off with a sharp gesture. Not now, she hissed. Not in front of her. Sakura's jaw worked, but she nodded once, stepping back to create space between them. Later then. But we will talk. Suki turned away, busying herself with pancake preparation. There's nothing to talk about. Bullshit. The crude word dropped from Sakura's mouth like a stone. I was there too, you know. In the forest of death. I watched Orochimaru sink his fangs into your neck. I saw what the curse mark did to you. Her voice caught. I watched you leave the village. I mourned you. Suki's shoulders tensed, her back still turned. You mourned someone who never existed. Before Sakura could respond, Hikari bounded back into the kitchen, face freshly scrubbed and eager. Can I help, Mama? The transformation was instantaneous. Suki's posture relaxed, her voice softening as she guided her daughter onto a stool. You can stir, but carefully. No splashing like last time. Sakura watched them, medical training cataloging every interaction, every movement. The way Suki's fingers brushed Hikari's hair back with unconscious tenderness. The way the child mimicked her mother's precise movements, down to the ankle of her wrist as she stirred. And most telling, the way dark eyes occasionally flicked towards Sakura, assessing the threat, calculating escape routes. Eyes that, despite their color change, held the same unfathomable depths she remembered from years of yearning and unrequited affection. Sasuke's eyes. Halfway across the village, Naruto sat rigid in a chair that seemed designed for discomfort, facing Ibiki Marino and Inoichi Yamanaka across an interrogation table. The room was deliberately stark, gray walls, harsh lighting, no windows. Standard procedure for intelligence debriefings, especially for shinobi returning after unexplained absences. Let me get this straight, Ibiki said, voice rough as gravel. You're claiming this pocket dimension existed outside normal space-time, that a month there equaled roughly a week here. That's right. Naruto's fingers drummed restlessly against his thigh. Which is why 5 years pass for us, but only about 14 months here. Inoichi frowned, consulting his notes. That doesn't add up. You've been missing for 5 years in our timeline. The dimensional anchor points shift, Naruto explained, frustration edging his tone. We couldn't control when or where we'd exit. We spent years trying to find a stable point that would lead back to Konoha. Ibiki's scarred face remained impassive. Convenient. Naruto's chakra flared, momentarily visible as a blue aura before he reined it in. There was nothing convenient about being trapped in an alien dimension, Ibiki. Nothing convenient about nearly dying a dozen times. Nothing convenient about raising a child in a place where the very air could kill you if you breathed too deeply. The outburst hung in the air between them. Inoichi cleared his throat. Naruto, you understand why we need to verify your story. The Yamanaka mind-walking technique would. No. The word slammed down like a hammer. That's not happening. It's standard protocol for. I don't care. Naruto leaned forward, blue eyes hard as sapphires. The Nine Tails doesn't take kindly to uninvited guests in my head, and I've picked up a few mental defenses over the years that you really don't want to test, Inoichi-san. The two intelligence officers exchanged glances. What about your wife? Ibiki asked bluntly. Naruto's laugh held no humor. She'd kill you before you got within 10 feet of her mind. He shook his head. Look, I get it. Village security, protocols, trust issues. But Suki and Hikari are off limits. Test me however else you want. Blood samples, chakra signature analysis, knowledge only I would have, whatever. But their minds are their own. Ibiki's expression darkened. Your wife's identity is exactly who I say she is. Naruto cut him off. Suki Uzumaki, my wife, mother of my child. She has my absolute trust, which means she should have yours. It's not that simple, Inoichi said gently. Her chakra signature is unusual. And the child's Kekkei Genkai raises questions that. A prickle of foreign chakra brushed against Naruto's senses. So faint most shinobi would miss it. His hand flashed up, intercepting a tiny insect hovering near the ceiling. One of the Aburame clan's specialized surveillance Kikaichu. Really? He asked, crushing the bug between his fingers. Spying during an official debrief? Ibiki's expression remained stony. We need answers, Uzumaki. So do I. Naruto rose, towering over the seated interrogators. Like why Danzo tried to separate my family yesterday. Like why there are ANBU watching our apartment. Like why you're stalling me here while Suki and Hikari are alone. Sit down, Naruto, Inoichi said, a note of warning in his voice. We're not finished. Yes, we are. Chakra swirled around Naruto's feet. Next time you want to talk, send Tsunade. Or better yet, just ask me directly instead of playing these games. Before either man could respond, Naruto vanished in a yellow flash. leaving only disturbed papers in his wake. Ibiki sighed heavily, tapping his comm unit. Target has left the building. Maintain surveillance on the apartment. Sunlight spilled through the training grounds canopy in dappled patterns, painting the forest floor in shifting mosaics of gold and shadow. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, carrying the sense of pine and recent rain. Hikari twirled in the clearing, arms outstretched, face tilted toward the sun. It's so green here. And the air tastes different. Sakura watched from the edge of the clearing, medical kit open beside her, as she pretended to organize supplies. In reality, her attention remained fixed on the child and her mother. Suki slid nearby, posture alert despite her seemingly relaxed stance. The morning's tension had evolved into an uneasy truce, both women agreeing to postpone their confrontation for Hikari's sake. Not too far, Suki called as Hikari darted toward a cluster of wildflowers. I know, Mama! The girl's laughter bubbled up, pure and uninhibited. Sakura approached Suki, medical clipboard in hand. She seems to be adapting well. Children are resilient. Suki's voice was carefully neutral, mask firmly in place, and physically healthy, despite growing up in another dimension. Sakura made a note. No signs of chakra pathway distortion, perfect reflexes, cognitive development ahead of her age group. She hesitated. And then there's the Sharingan. Suki's posture stiffened minutely. It activated during a standard eye exam. Sakura continued. Just for a moment, triggered by the sudden bright light. One tomo in each eye, unusual for one so young. Is this relevant to her medical assessment? It's relevant to understanding who she is. Sakura turned, facing Suki directly. Who you are. The air between them thickened with tension once more. In the clearing, Hikari remained blissfully oblivious, chasing a butterfly with delighted squeals. What do you want from me, Sakura? Suki's voice dropped to a near whisper. The truth. Sakura's green eyes bored into Suki's dark ones. Not for the village, not for the records. For me. After everything we went through together, don't I deserve that much? Something flickered in Suki's expression. Pain, perhaps, or regret. Before she could respond, a yellow flash illuminated the clearing, resolving into Naruto's form. He assessed the situation in an instant, blue eyes narrowing as he registered the tension. Everything okay here? He asked, voice light but posture ready. Papa! Hikari abandoned her butterfly chase, launching herself at her father. He caught her midair, swinging her onto his shoulders in one smooth motion. Hey there, little sunbeam. Naruto's smile was genuine, though his eyes remained fixed on his wife and former teammate. Having fun? Mama and Sakura-san brought me to train. But we haven't started yet. Hikari tugged at his hair. Can you show me that cool spinning ball thing, Rasengan? He asked, chuckling. Maybe later. Right now, I need to talk to your mama and Sakura-chan for a minute. He set Hikari down with a gentle pat. Why don't you practice your leaf exercise? Let's see if you can stick 10 at once. 10? That's easy. The girl scampered away, gathering fallen leaves with focused determination. Naruto joined the two women, his casual demeanor evaporating like morning mist. Intel debriefing was a setup. They're pushing for mind-walking. Suki's hand flew to her weapon pouch. We need to leave. Now. No, Naruto caught her wrist. Running makes us look guilty. Besides, Tsunade wouldn't allow it without our consent, wouldn't she? Suki challenged. The village has a right to protect itself. And a strange woman with mysterious chakra and a Sharingan-wielding child looks like a threat. Sakura watched this exchange, pieces clicking into place with sickening clarity. You haven't told him, she murmured. Both turned to her, expressions guarded. Told me what? Naruto asked. That I know. Sakura's voice strengthened. Or at least, I strongly suspect. And if I figured it out after one medical examination, how long before others do as well? Silence stretched between them, taut as a wire. Finally, Suki sighed, reaching up to touch her mask. Not here, she said quietly. Too many eyes. As if summoned by her words, a shadow detached from the canopy above, an ANBU operative in a can mask, observing from the branches. See? Suki murmured. Naruto nodded, a plan forming. Sakura, we need somewhere private. Somewhere without surveillance. Understanding dawned in Sakura's eyes. My apartment. The bathroom has water running constantly. Disrupts sound-based surveillance. And I sweep for bugs daily. Good. Naruto formed a familiar cross-shaped seal. Shadow clone jutsu. 3 perfect duplicates appeared. One transforming into Suki, another into Sakura, the third remaining as Naruto. Take Hikari to Ichiraku, he instructed the clones. Make it obvious. Let our watchers follow you. The real Naruto turned to Sakura. Lead the way. And tried to look casual. Steam filled Sakura's small bathroom, condensing on the mirror and dripping down the walls. The shower ran at full blast, water drumming against tile in a steady rhythm that obscured their voices. Crammed into the tiny space, the three shinobi formed a tense triangle. This is ridiculous, Suki muttered, arms crossed over her chest. Maybe, Naruto acknowledged. But it works. Now, what exactly does Sakura know? Sakura's chin lifted defiantly. I know that your wife isn't who she claims to be. I know her chakra signature is artificially altered but still contains patterns I've healed before. I know her daughter has the Sharingan. She took a deep breath, then plunged forward. What I don't know is how Sasuke Uchiha became Suki Uzumaki. Or why you're both lying about it. The name hung in the steam-thick air between them. Naruto's expression remained carefully neutral as he turned to his wife. Your call, he said softly. Suki. Sasuke closed her eyes briefly, reaching up to remove the half-mask. Without its concealment, the delicate femininity of her features became more apparent. High cheekbones, long lashes, full lips. Undeniably beautiful, undeniably changed from the boy Sakura remembered, yet unmistakably the same person. I was always female, she said quietly, voice still carrying that familiar Uchiha coolness despite its higher pitch. My father had different plans. Sakura felt like the floor had dropped from beneath her feet. What? Fugaka wanted a son, Sasuke continued, dark eyes meeting Sakura's stunned gaze. When I was born female, he refused to accept it, insisted I be raised as a boy, presented to the village as the second son. Only my parents and Itachi knew the truth. That's... Sakura struggled to find words. Cruel? Sasuke supplied. Perhaps. But not unusual in clans obsessed with bloodlines and heirs. After the massacre, there seemed no point in revealing the truth. I had one goal, killing Itachi. Being perceived as male made that path easier. So in the forest of death, Sakura said slowly, when Orochimaru gave you the curse mark. He knew, Naruto interjected. Somehow, that snake bastard knew what even Kakashi didn't. Sasuke nodded. The curse mark was destroying me from the inside because it was designed for a male body. When the dimensional rift pulled me through, it accelerated the damage, until I used the Nine Tails chakra to neutralize it, Naruto continued. But the combination of demonic chakra, cursed energy, and dimensional flux did something unexpected. It rewrote me, Sasuke said simply. Healed the damage by bringing my body into alignment with my actual gender. The physical changes were uncomfortable, but ultimately correct. Sakura stared, medical mind racing through implications. That's why your chakra signature is different. It's not just disguised. It fundamentally changed. Yes. Sasuke brushed damp hair from her face. The person you knew as Sasuke Uchiha no longer exists, physically or otherwise. I am Suki now. Naruto's wife. Hikari's mother. Silence fell, broken only by the patter of shower water against tile. Steam swirled between them, ghostly eddies that mirrored the turbulence of emotions. Who else knows? Sakura finally asked. No one, Naruto answered. And it needs to stay that way. For Hikari's sake, Sasuke, Suki, added. She knows nothing of the Uchiha massacre, nothing of my past identity. To her, I've always been Suki. Always been her mother. Sakura's head spun with revelations, each more overwhelming than the last. But the council has seen her use Sharingan. Danzo already suspects. Suspects, yes. But can't prove, Naruto interrupted. As far as the village knows, Sasuke Uchiha died fighting his brother. Suki is simply a woman I met in another dimension, who happens to have Uchiha blood. That's your plan? Sakura asked incredulously. Just lie? Forever? Not forever, Suki said. Just until Hikari is old enough to understand. Old enough to protect herself. From what? From Danzo, Naruto growled. From anyone who'd use her for her bloodline. The Sharingan is too valuable. They turn her into a weapon, a breeding stock, or worse. The raw protectiveness in his voice silenced further argument. Sakura slumped against the sink, mind reeling. This is... She began. A lot, Naruto finished gently. I know. But Sakura, we're trusting you with everything. Our lives, our daughter's future. Can we count on you? The question hung between them, heavy with implication. Sakura looked at her former teammates, now so changed, yet still carrying echoes of the children they'd been. Naruto's unwavering determination. Sasuke's proud defiance, softened now by something that looked remarkably like love when she glanced at Naruto. Let me get this straight, Sakura said slowly. You want me to lie to the Hokage, the council, and every one of our friends about Suki's identity, to protect a child born in another dimension, who happens to have both Uzumaki and Uchiha DNA. Yes, they answered in unison. A hysterical laugh bubbled up in Sakura's throat. You realize how insane this sounds? Welcome to our life, Naruto offered with a shadow of his old grin. Sakura shook her head, decision crystallizing with surprising clarity. I'll help you. Not for your lies, but for Hikari. No child deserves to be caught in Konoha's political games. Relief softened Suki's features. Thank you, Sakura. Don't thank me yet, she warned. This secret won't hold forever. Especially not with Itachi still out there somewhere. At the mention of her brother, Suki's expression darkened. Itachi is dead. We found evidence in the pocket dimension, chakra residue, blood samples. The fight between us happened across dimensional boundaries. Either of us survived unscathed. Sakura and Naruto exchanged glances, a silent communication that Suki caught immediately. What? She demanded. Naruto sighed. Suki, there's something you should know. About Itachi. What about him? Wariness crept into her voice. Intelligence reports place him in Fire Country. Less than a week ago. The color drained from Suki's face. That's impossible. Nothing's impossible, Sakura said quietly. You of all people should know that by now. Before the conversation could continue, a sharp rap sounded at the bathroom door. Sakura? Ino's voice called through the wood. Are you okay in there? You've been showering for almost an hour. Panic flashed across three faces. Fine. Sakura called back, voice artificially bright. Just really dirty from training. Be out soon. Well, hurry up. I have news about Naruto's mystery wife that you won't believe. Suki's eyes narrowed dangerously. Naruto placed a restraining hand on her arm. We need to go, he whispered. Now, Sakura nodded, mind racing. The window. It's small, but enough, Suki murmured, hands flashing through familiar seals. Transformation jutsu. A puff of smoke, and where Suki had stood now perched a sleek black hawk. Naruto grinned, forming the same seals. Another smoke cloud, another hawk, this one golden. Smart, Sakura whispered, pushing open the tiny bathroom window. Go. I'll cover for you. The birds launched themselves through the opening, wings catching air currents as they soared into the afternoon sky. Sakura watched them disappear, then turned off the shower and wrapped herself in a towel. Whatever came next, she was committed now. For better or worse, Team 7 was back together, with one very unexpected addition. Miles away, deep in the forests bordering Fire Country, Itachi Uchiha stood perfectly still beneath the towering oak. Rain fell in gentle sheets, plastering his Akatsuki cloak to his emaciated frame. Beside him, Kisame Hashigaki shifted impatiently, massive sword twitching on his back. How much longer are we going to wait? The shark man grumbled. The brat's return has every shinobi in Fire Country on high alert. Itachi remained motionless, eyes closed in concentration. A moment more. As if summoned by his words, a raven descended from the storm clouds, landing lightly on his outstretched hand. Its obsidian eyes gleamed with unnatural intelligence as it opened its beak. The child activated Sharingan during medical testing. The bird reported in a voice that seemed too deep for its small body. One tomo in each eye. The mother intervened before further examination could be conducted. Interesting, Itachi murmured, stroking the bird's damp feathers. And her chakra signature? Altered, but stabilizing. The transformation appears permanent. A ghost of a smile touched Itachi's bloodless lips. So it worked. Kisame raised the hairless eyebrow. Care to share with the class, Itachi-san? Itachi dismissed the raven with a gentle flick of his wrist, watching it disappear into the stormy skies. My little brother always was stubborn, he said cryptically. Or should I say, my little sister. What? Kisame's tiny eyes widened. You're saying, I'm saying, Itachi interrupted, turning away from the rain, that the Uchiha bloodline continues. Against all odds and all plans, mine included, he coughed suddenly, a racking sound that bent him double. Blood spattered the ground, dark against the sodden earth. Kisame watched without comment, familiar with these episodes. We should return to base, the shark man suggested when the fit subsided. Pain won't be happy about the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's return. Itachi straightened, wiping blood from his lips with a pale hand. No, he said softly. I have a different destination in mind. Oh? Suspicion colored Kisame's voice. And where might that be? Crimson eyes opened, Sharingan spinning lazily as Itachi gazed toward distant Konoha. To meet my niece. Wind lashed the barren peaks of Amagakure, driving sheets of perpetual rain against the towering structures shaped like the head of some ancient deity. Lightning split the obsidian sky, illuminating 6 figures arranged in a circle, their forms flickering like ghosts. Holographic projections rather than flesh and blood. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki has returned to Konoha. The voice belonged to a man with concentric purple rings rippling through his eyes. After 5 years of absence, I told you we should have collected him sooner. A masked figure pulsed with barely contained irritation. Now the timeline is disrupted, and yet, a feminine silhouette tilted her head, paper flower stark against blue hair. This development presents opportunities. A shark-faced man's teeth gleamed in the darkness. Naruto Uzumaki isn't alone. He's returned with complications. All eyes turned to the tallest figure, whose blood-red Sharingan gleamed from a face half hidden by a high collar. Speak plainly, Itachi, the purple-eyed leader commanded. My brother has returned as well, Itachi Uchiha stated flatly. Though not as we knew him. Confusion rippled through the gathering. Explain. Itachi's eyes narrowed fractionally. Sasuke Uchiha now lives as a woman. She's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's wife, and they have a child, a daughter with active Sharingan. Silence crashed like thunder. A child with Uchiha blood and potential Nine-Tails chakra inheritance. A blonde figure whistled. That's quite the genetic lottery, The plan remains unchanged, the leader intoned. We will capture the Nine-Tails. The Uchiha matter is secondary, though the child. He paused. The child could be of interest later. I will handle the Konoha mission, Itachi volunteered with cold precision. No. The purple eyes flashed. Your involvement is compromised by blood ties. Kisame will go, with Deidara as backup. Itachi's face betrayed nothing as the shark-faced man laughed. Don't worry, Itachi-san. I'll bring you your niece's eyes as a souvenir, Kisame taunted. The temperature in the chamber plummeted. Killing intent radiated from Itachi in waves that made even his vicious partner step back. Touch the child, Itachi whispered, and there won't be enough of you left to feed to the carrion birds. The holographic gathering dissolved into static, leaving the leader and the blue-haired woman alone in the vast chamber. He will betray us for them, the woman stated simply. The leader nodded. Yes. But his path will lead us exactly where we need to go. Lightning cracked the sky open again, momentarily silhouetting the endless sea of corpse spikes that surrounded Amagakure's central tower. Dawn painted Konoha's training grounds in watercolor hues of pink and gold. The clang of metal striking metal rang out like church bells, sending birds scattering from nearby trees. Again, Suki commanded, dark eyes assessing Naruto's stance with surgical precision. Your right guard is still dropping. Naruto grinned, sunlight glinting off the specialized kunai clutched between his fingers. Sweat plastered his black mesh shirt to his torso, the Jonin vest discarded hours ago. That's deliberate. I'm baiting you. I don't take bait, Suki replied coolly, then vanished in a blur of movement. Naruto's eyes widened a split second before he too disappeared. Not in a body flicker like his wife, but in a flash of yellow light. They reappeared simultaneously at opposite ends of the training ground, the air between them superheated from the chakra discharge of their attacks canceling each other out. Flying Thunder God versus Spotty Flicker. A lazy voice drawled from the treeling. Fascinating matchup. Kakashi lounged against a massive oak, orange book dangling forgotten from his fingertips as he observed his former student and the mysterious woman who'd become his wife. He wasn't alone. At least a dozen Jonin and Anbu had gathered at the periphery of the training ground, drawn by rumors of Naruto's morning sparring sessions. Show off, Suki muttered, shooting Naruto a look that would have withered a lesser man. He just laughed, the sound bright and sharp as kunai in sunlight. They've been watching since day 2. Might as well give them something to talk about besides Hikari's hair. Suki's jaw tightened beneath her mask at the mention of their daughter. 3 weeks in Konoha, and the whispers hadn't diminished, only multiplied like bacteria in a petri dish. Naruto approached, pitching his voice low. Speaking of, shouldn't you be picking her up from Irika's? Sakura offered. Suki rolled her shoulders, working out kinks from their 3-hour training session. Said something about introducing her to the other children. Alarm flashed across Naruto's face. Other children? As in, the clan heir's kids, Suki confirmed. Apparently they have weekly playdates. That's risky. It was your idea to integrate. Her tone held no accusation, just fact. If Hikari's going to grow up here, she needs peers. Naruto nodded, but worry still clouded his eyes. I know. Suki's hand brushed his, the briefest contact. I'm headed there now. She turned to leave, only to find Kakashi directly in her path. I curved in what might have been a smile. Suki-san, he greeted her with deceptive casualness. Your kenjutsu style is distinctive. I don't believe I've seen those particular forms before. Where did you train? Suki met his gaze evenly. Self-taught, mostly. Necessity breeds innovation in hostile dimensions. Kakashi tilted his head. Curious. Some of your movements reminded me of traditional Uchiha sword forms. I've only seen them performed once, by an ANBU captain from that clan years ago. The air between them crystallized with tension. Behind her mask, Suki's lips pressed into a thin line. Perhaps the Uchiha borrowed their techniques from my dimension, not the other way around, she suggested coolly. Convergent evolution happens with fighting styles too. Perhaps. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed fractionally. Though I'm sure Sasuke Uchiha would have found your style familiar. Naruto materialized at Suki's side in a flash of yellow. Kakashi-sensei, he interrupted cheerfully, but his eyes held warning. Still analyzing everyone's techniques to copy? Some habits never die. Kakashi's gaze shifted between them, calculation evident even behind his perpetual mask. Old habits, new mysteries. Makes life interesting, doesn't it? He stepped aside, gesturing for Suki to pass. Don't let me keep you from your daughter. Suki nodded stiffly and strode away, feeling Kakashi's scrutiny like a physical weight between her shoulder blades. He knows, she murmured when Naruto caught up to her at the edge of the field. He suspects, Naruto corrected. Different thing entirely. It's only a matter of time. Naruto's hand caught hers, squeezing briefly. Then we'll deal with it. Together. They parted at the main road, Suki heading toward the Academy District, Naruto toward the Hokage Tower for another endless debriefing session. Neither noticed the small, clay spider that scuttled after Suki, following at a discreet distance. Laughter erupted from the Yamanaka compound's garden, bright and bell-like. The unmistakable sound of children at play. Suki paused at the ornate wooden gate, straightening her mask and smoothing her dark hair before announcing her presence. Through the slats, she could see a half-dozen children chasing each other around a flowering cherry tree. Hikari's raven hair stood out among them, streaming behind her, as she darted away from a chubby boy with spiraling facial markings, clearly an Akimichi. Nearby, a blonde girl with Yamanaka eyes directed the game, while a dark-haired boy with Nara's distinctive slouch watched from the shade. The scene hit Suki with unexpected force, echoes of her own childhood, before the massacre, when clan children would gather for formal playdates choreographed by ambitious parents. They're getting along well. Suki nearly jumped. Nearly. Years of shinobi training kept her outward reaction to a slight tensing of shoulders as she turned to find Ino Yamanaka smiling beside her. Hikari's quite the little diplomat, Ino continued, blue eyes sharp despite her friendly tone. Shikamaru's son never plays with the others, but she somehow coaxed him out of the shadows. Must get that charm from her father. Naruto does have a way with people, Suki agreed neutrally. Ino unlocked the gate, gesturing for Suki to enter. Though she has your intensity. That focus when she's working on something, pure Uchiha. The last word hung in the air like a challenge. Suki met Ino's gaze steadily. You've been talking to Sakura. We're best friends. We talk about everything. Ino's smile didn't reach her eyes, especially mysterious women who appear out of nowhere with convenient backstories and familiar mannerisms. Before Suki could respond, Hikari spotted her and broke away from the game with a delighted squeal. Mama! Watch what I can do now! Relief flooded through Suki as her daughter barreled toward her, effectively ending the uncomfortable conversation. She crouched to catch Hikari in a one-armed hug. What amazing skill have you mastered today, little one? Hikari beamed. Shikadai showed me how to make shadow puppets with chakra. And Inajin taught me a flower game, and Chocho shared her special chips and, breathe, Suki reminded her, smiling behind her mask at her daughter's excitement. Come see the shadow game. Hikari tugged at her hand, dragging her toward a patch of dappled shade beneath the cherry tree where the other children had gathered. Reluctantly, Suki allowed herself to be pulled into the circle of watching adults. Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, and their spouses. She nodded stiffly in greeting, hyper-aware of their assessing gazes. Your daughter is quite talented, Shikamaru drawled, though his lazy posture didn't match the sharp intelligence in his eyes. Quick study. Picked up the shadow manipulation concept faster than my own troublesome son. She's always been observant, Suki replied carefully. Hikari tugged her toward the children's circle. Watch, Mama. Shikadai, show her the dragon one. A miniature Shikamaru, right down to the exasperated expression, sighed dramatically. What a drag. But he formed a simple hand seal, manipulating his shadow against the tree trunk to create a serpentine shape. Hikari clapped her hands. Now my turn. She squeezed her eyes shut in concentration, small hands mimicking Shikadai's seal inexpertly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her shadow wavered, stretching outward, not in a controlled shape like Shikadai's, but with surprising strength. "I'm doing it!" She squealed, eyes flying open. Suki's heart stopped. Replacing Hikari's normal blue irises were crimson orbs, a single Tomos spinning lazily in each. "Hikari, enough!" She snapped, lunging forward to spin her daughter away from the gasping audience. Too late. The adults had seen Shikamaru's calculating gaze, Ino's vindicated expression, Choji's open-mouthed shock. "Mama?" Hikari looked up, confusion and hurt swimming in eyes that had already reverted to blue. "Did I do it wrong?" Suki crouched, pulling her daughter close. "No, little one. You did beautifully. But that's enough practice for today. We need to go home now." "But we just started the good games," Hikari protested. "Now, Hikari." Steel entered Suki's voice, brooking no argument. Behind them, whispers had already ignited, spreading like wildfire among the adults. Suki didn't need enhanced hearing to know what they were saying. "Sharingan. Uchiha blood. Impossible. I'll walk you out," Ino offered, her expression simultaneously triumphant and sympathetic. Suki nodded stiffly, keeping Hikari's hand firmly clasped in hers as they made their way back to the gate, feeling the weight of stairs boring into her back. "The council will hear about this by nightfall," Ino murmured as they reached the exit. "Danzo already has spies watching your family." Suspicion flared in Suki's chest. "Why tell me this?" Ino's perfectly manicured fingers brushed Suki's sleeve. "Because whatever game you're playing, that child is innocent. And because Sakura asked me to watch out for you, even if she won't tell me the whole truth." Surprise must have shown in Suki's eyes, because Ino smiled, genuinely this time. "We're not enemies, Suki-san. Or whatever your real name is. But secrets have a way of turning toxic in Konoha. Be careful." With that cryptic warning, Ino closed the gate behind them, leaving Suki and Hikari on the sunlit street. "Am I in trouble, Mama?" Hikari asked in a small voice, her earlier excitement withered. Suki knelt before her, adjusting her daughter's rumpled collar. "No, little son. You did nothing wrong. But remember what Papa and I told you about your special eyes." Hikari nodded solemnly. "Only use them at home, or in big emergencies." "That's right." Suki brushed a strand of midnight hair from her daughter's forehead. "Those eyes are a gift, but they're also a secret, for now, because bad people might want them." Hikari's perceptiveness, as always, caught Suki off guard. "Yes. And because they connect you to a family history that's complicated." She squeezed Hikari's small hands. "Now, shall we get Dango on the way home? I think we both deserve a treat." Hikari's face lit up, previous distress forgotten with the resilience of childhood. "With sweet sauce? Is there any other way?" Hand in hand, they walked through Konoha's bustling market district, unaware of the ANBU's shadows trailing them across rooftops, or the tiny clay spider that had witnessed everything. Naruto stood at rigid attention before Tsunade's desk, the weight of her amber glare heavier than the mountain bearing her carved likeness. Outside the Hokage Tower's windows, afternoon had surrendered to dusk, painting Konoha in watercolor shades of purple and gold. "Explain," Tsunade demanded, sliding a mission report across her desk. "How exactly did you develop the fourth Hokage's signature technique, the one that earned him the Yellow Flash moniker and helped win the Third Shinobi War?" Naruto didn't flinch. "I had time, motivation, and my father's blood. The pocket dimension had unique properties that made space-time ninjutsu easier to develop." "Bullshit." Tsunade slammed her palm on the desk, splintering the corner. "That technique requires precise formulas, specialized kanai, and a level of chakra control you never demonstrated before leaving. People change, Granny Tsunade." Steel underlay his casual address. 5 years of fighting for survival will do that. "And the sage techniques? The advanced Fuinjutsu? The mastery over the Nine-Tails chakra that has my advisors whispering about security protocols?" She fixed him with a knife-edge stare. "You expect me to believe you developed all this alone, in a hostile dimension?" A muscle twitched in Naruto's jaw. "I wasn't alone. Suki is a combat genius. And we found others, dimensional travelers with their own techniques." Tsunade leaned back, fingers steepled before her face. "About your wife." The word dripped with suspicion. "The ANBU detail I assigned to watch your family reported in. Incident today. Involving your daughter." Ice crystallized in Naruto's veins. "What happened?" "Nothing dangerous." Tsunade waved a dismissive hand, but revealing. Hikari activated Sharingan during a playdate with the clan heir's children. 2 witnesses were former classmates of Sasuke Uchiha. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Naruto's face hardened into an expressionless mask that would have impressed an ANBU captain. My daughter has a Kekkei Genkai. We've never hidden that fact. No, but you've been deliberately vague about its origin. Tsunade rose, circling her desk to stand before him. The council is demanding answers, Naruto. Danzo is building a case to have your wife and child taken into protective custody for evaluation. Killing intent flooded the room so suddenly that the ANBU guards outside flinched, hands flying to weapon pouches. Anyone who tries to separate my family, Naruto said with deadly calm, will not live to regret it. Don't threaten me in my own office, Tsunade snapped, though a flicker of approval crossed her face. I'm trying to help you, brat. But I need the truth. The office door burst open before Naruto could respond. Shizen stumbled in, face pale. Lady Tsunade. Akatsuki has been spotted within Fire Country borders. 2 members, heading toward Konoha. Tsunade cursed, bloodying the air with soldiers' language. How far? Less than an hour out, according to the patrol. Kisame Hashigaki and Deidara confirmed. Sound the alert. I want all available Jonin and ANBU assembled in 15 minutes. Tsunade turned back to Naruto. This conversation isn't over, but it's postponed. As a Jonin of the Leaf, your duty is to my family, Naruto interrupted, already moving toward the door. Akatsuki is after me, which means Suki and Hikari are in danger if they're seen with me. I'll send an ANBU squad, Tsunade began. No time. Naruto's fingers formed a familiar cross-shaped seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen perfect duplicates filled the office, each nodding once before vanishing in puffs of smoke, heading to various defensive positions around the village. I'll be at the East Gate in 10 minutes, the real Naruto promised. But first, I'm moving my family to safety. Before Tsunade could protest, he disappeared in a flash of yellow light. Stay absolutely still. Suki's voice cut through the cheerful clatter of the dango shop like a blade. Her hand clamped around Hikari's small wrist mid-bite, causing the sweet dumpling to fall forgotten to the plate. Mama, don't look up. Don't turn around. Suki's Sharingan activated behind her mask, scanning the crowd outside the shop window. When I say run, you head straight for the bathroom door. Understand? Confusion and fear warred on Hikari's face, but years of training kicked in. She nodded once, muscles tensing for action. Through the crimson filter of her activated bloodline, Suki tracked the peculiar chakra signature that had triggered her alarm. Not quite human, infused with something that read as clay. It pulsed from a dozen tiny objects scattered throughout the market square, each one crawling methodically toward the dango shop. Explosives, her instincts screamed. We're surrounded. 3, she murmured, sliding a kunai from her sleeve into her palm. 2, the shop's doors swung open, bell tinkling merrily as a mountain of a man ducked to enter. Blue-gray skin stretched over sharply defined muscles. A massive sword wrapped in bandages hung from his back. Gill-like markings slashed his cheeks, framing a smile full of triangular teeth. Well, Kisame Hashigaki rumbled, voice like gravel over velvet. If it isn't the little Uchiha princess, all grown up and playing house. Suki was moving before he finished speaking, hurling Hikari toward the bathroom door with one hand while the other sent 3 poisoned simbans straight at Kisame's throat. The Akatsuki member batted them away with a casual flick of his massive sword, which writhed and chittered as if alive. Now, is that any way to greet an old friend of your brother's? Run! Suki shouted, hands already flashing through seals. Fire style. Great Dragon Flame Jutsu. The interior of the dango shop erupted in searing white flames that melted tables and scorched ceiling beams to ash in seconds. Civilians screamed, stampeding for exits as Kisame's laughter boomed through the inferno. You always did have a flair for the dramatic, he called, swinging his massive sword in a horizontal arc that absorbed her flames like a hungry beast. But Samahata eats chakra for breakfast. You'll have to do better than that. Outside, pandemonium erupted as clay spiders detonated in synchronized blasts, sending market stalls and storefronts skyward in plumes of fire and debris. Suki burst through the shop's rear wall in a shower of splinters. Hikari clutched against her chest. The child's eyes were wide with terror but dry, trained from birth never to cry during danger. It's okay, little son, Suki whispered, landing on a nearby rooftop. I won't let them hurt you. How touching, An. The voice came from above, where a massive clay bird circled like a vulture, a blonde figure standing on its back with hands held out in artistic flourish. The great Sasuke Uchiha, reduced to changing diapers and playing house with the Nine-Tails brat. Deidara called, visible eye gleaming with manic pleasure. How the mighty have fallen, An. They know, Suki realized with icy clarity. They know who I am. Kisame erupted from the burning dango shop, landing on a neighboring rooftop with inhuman grace despite his bulk. Orders are to take the Jinchuriki alive, he called to his partner. But the Uchiha woman and brat are fair game. Perfect. Deidara laughed, reaching into pouches at his hips. My art deserves a worthy audience. His hands emerged, palms sporting grotesque mouths that chewed and molded the clay they held. Let's start with something simple. A warm-up. He flung the masticated clay downward, where it multiplied midair into dozens of bird-shaped projectiles that spiraled towards Suki and Hikari with lethal precision. Suki's Sharingan tracked each one, buying precious seconds to leap clear of the first wave. Hikari clung to her like a limpet, face buried against her shoulder. My specialty has always been killing Uchiha. Deidara crowed, forming more clay creatures. Don't disappoint me by dying too quickly. Focus on protecting the child, Kisame advised, hefting his massive sword. I'll make this quick and relatively painless, for old time's sake. Suki's back hit a water tower as she dodged another explosion, her options rapidly dwindling. Civilians fled the market district in screaming waves below, Anbu and Jonin converging from all directions. But too slowly, too late. Where are you, Naruto? She thought desperately, forming seals for another fire jutsu that would buy them seconds at best. Mama, Hikari whispered against her neck. The bad men want to hurt us? Yes, Suki answered honestly, never patronizing her daughter even in crisis. But I won't let them. Tiny hands tightened around her neck as Hikari pulled back just enough to meet her gaze. Blue eyes bled to crimson, Tomo spinning wildly. I'll help. Before Suki could respond, a blinding yellow flash lit up the rooftop. Naruto materialized beside them, face contorted with cold fury that transformed his normally warm features into something alien and terrifying. Get away from my family. Each word dropped like a stone into still water, rippling with barely contained rage. Relief crashed through Suki like a tsunami. Took you long enough, she managed, the snark automatic despite their dire situation. Naruto's gaze never left their attackers, but his hand found hers, squeezing once. Sorry for the delay. Had to convince Tsunade not to put us under house arrest. He glanced at Hikari, whose Sharingan still spun in childish determination. Hey there, little sunbeam. Those are some pretty eyes you've got activated. I'm helping, she declared with deadly seriousness that might have been comical in any other circumstance. Naruto ruffled her hair. Best helper ever. But right now, I need you and Mama to go somewhere safe while I deal with these jerks. No, Suki interrupted sharply. We fight together. Not with Hikari, Naruto countered. And not with your identity already compromised. Above them, Deidara's clade bird circled lower. Such a touching family reunion. Almost hate to interrupt. He formed another clay sculpture with rapid movements. Almost. Take Hikari to the safe house, Naruto insisted, golden chakra already beginning to swirl around him like a cloak. I'll handle these two. You can't, trust me. His eyes met hers, blue to red, 1,000 unspoken words passing between them. Please. Before she could argue further, Naruto bit his thumb, slammed his palm to the rooftop, and in a puff of smoke, summoned a massive toad. Gamaken! He shouted. Get my wife and daughter to safety. The coordinates I showed you last week. The toad grunted in acknowledgement, webbed hand already reaching for Suki and Hikari. Don't you dare die, Suki hissed, allowing herself to be scooped up. Naruto's smile was razor-sharp as golden chakra enveloped him completely, 9 tails features superimposing over his own. Wouldn't dream of it. Got a family to come home to. The last thing Suki saw before Gamaken leapt away was Naruto launching himself skyward, directly at Deidara's clade bird, a Rasengan the size of a house swirling in his palm. Tsunade stood at her office window, watching distant explosions light up Konoha's eastern quarter like malevolent fireworks. Reports flooded in from all sectors. Casualties minimal thanks to swift evacuations. Property damage extensive. Akatsuki members engaged in combat with Naruto Uzumaki. His power is unsettling, Koharu commented from behind her. The elderly councilwoman had arrived moments after the attack began, alongside her longtime counterpart Hamura and the ever-calculating Danzo. He's defending his home, Tsunade replied shortly. Exactly as he should. Against S-rank criminals specifically targeting him, Danzo pointed out, tapping his cane against the floorboards. Criminals who also seem remarkably interested in his family. The word dripped with suspicion. Tsunade turned from the window, pinning Danzo with a glare that had made hardened war criminals confess their sins. Speak plainly or get out of my office. I have an attack to coordinate. The Sharingan, Danzo said simply. The child possesses it. The mother must be Uchiha, yet we know of only 2 living Uchiha, both male. The obvious conclusion is that this woman has stolen Uchiha DNA, created an artificial hybrid, and manipulated Naruto Uzumaki into protecting them. Preposterous, Tsunade snapped, though the theory mirrored her own suspicions uncomfortably closely. Is it? Hamura adjusted his glasses. We know Orochimaru was experimenting with bloodline theft and genetic manipulation. If this woman is his agent, enough. Tsunade slammed her fist against the wall, cracking the plaster. We have an active Akatsuki incursion. Save your conspiracy theories for after we've secured the village. A knock at the door interrupted the brewing argument. Shizen entered, face grave. Lady Tsunade, they're here. Who's here? Naruto's wife and daughter. They're requesting an emergency audience. Shizen hesitated. She says she's ready to tell you everything. 4 pairs of eyes locked onto the door as it swung open, revealing Suki standing rigidly in the threshold. Hikari's small hand clasped in hers. The woman's half-mask was gone, revealing a face of striking beauty marred by a bleeding cut across one pale cheek. Her dark eyes, no longer concealed by genjutsu, gleamed with Sharingan. Uchiha, Danzo breathed, visible eye narrowing to a predatory slit. Leave us, Tsunade ordered, gaze never leaving Suki's face. With respect, Lady Hokage, Koharu began, given the security implications. I said leave. Tsunade's voice cracked like a whip. Or I'll have A and B remove you. For a moment, it seemed the elders might resist. Then Danzo inclined his head in shallow acquiescence. As you wish. But this matter will be addressed by the full council. Tsunade waited until the door closed behind them before activating the privacy seals embedded in her office walls. Only then did she turn her full attention to the woman and child before her. Well? She demanded. I believe you owe me an explanation, starting with your real identity. Suki, if that was even her name, knelt to eye level with her daughter. Hikari, I need you to sit in that chair and practice your chakra control exercise while I talk to the Hokage. Can you do that for me? The child nodded solemnly, dark hair swinging with the movement. The leaf sticking one? That's right. And remember, grown-up talk is private. Once Hikari was settled in the corner, small face scrunched in concentration as she balanced a leaf on her forehead, Suki turned back to Tsunade. What I'm about to tell you could get my daughter killed, she began without preamble. So I need your word, as Hokage and as a woman, that it stays in this room. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. I don't make promises before hearing confessions. Then hear this first, Akatsuki didn't come just for Naruto today. They came for me and Hikari. They know who I am. And who exactly is that? Tsunade asked, though the pieces had already clicked into place in her analytical mind. The woman before her straightened to her full height, chin lifting with unmistakable pride. The same arrogant tilt Tsunade had seen in another Uchiha years ago. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, she stated, voice clear and unwavering. Only daughter of Fugaku and Mikoto Uchiha, sister of Itachi Uchiha, last loyal survivor of the Uchiha massacre. Despite having suspected the truth, hearing it stated so boldly knocked the breath from Tsunade's lungs. Impossible, she whispered. Sasuke Uchiha was male. No. Sasuke, Suki, shook her head. I was born female, but raised as male by my father's decree. After the massacre, I maintained the deception. It was easier, given my goals. And the transformation? Tsunade gestured to her distinctly feminine form. The combination of Orochimaru's curse mark, designed for a male body, the dimensional rift, and Naruto's attempt to heal me with the Nine Tails chakra. It realigned my physical form with my actual gender. She met Tsunade's skeptical gaze unflinchingly. You can verify with medical tests. My DNA remains Uchiha, though some markers have shifted. Tsunade circled her desk slowly, medical mind processing the explanation. It was outlandish, yet possible. Chakra healing gone wrong had created stranger transformations. And the child? She's truly yours? Yes. Something fierce and protective flashed in those Sharingan eyes. Mine and Naruto's, conceived and born in the pocket dimension. She knows nothing of the Uchiha massacre, nothing of my past identity. Yet she has active Sharingan. It manifested early, even by Uchiha standards. We believe the Nine Tails chakra Naruto inherited from his father, combined with my bloodline. She trailed off. Created something new, Tsunade finished. A genetic synthesis no one could have predicted. Exactly. Suki, Sasuke, glanced at her daughter, who remained oblivious to the earth-shattering conversation occurring across the room. Now you understand why Danzo must never learn the truth. He coveted the Sharingan enough to support the extermination of my clan. What would he do to possess a child with Uchiha and Uzumaki heritage? The implication hung heavy in the air between them. Tsunade felt the weight of the Hokage hat as keenly as if she were physically wearing it. Her duty to the village demanded full disclosure to the council. Her medical ethics and basic humanity screamed for protection of the child. Naruto knows? She asked, though the answer was obvious. Yes. He learned my true identity in the pocket dimension. It changed nothing for him. A ghost of tenderness softened Suki's features. He saw me as I truly was, not as what others wanted me to be. Outside, another explosion rocked the village, reminder of the immediate danger. Tsunade made her decision. For now, your secret remains safe with me, she said grimly. But I want full medical examinations, supervised by me personally, for both you and the child. And if Naruto's current battle with Akatsuki reveals your connection to him, all bets are off. Relief flooded Suki's face, swiftly replaced by her usual stoic mask. Thank you, Lady Tsunade. Don't thank me yet. Tsunade's amber eyes hardened. You've woven a web of lies that would make Jiraiya's spy network envious. Sooner or later, that web will unravel. And when it does, she left the sentence unfinished as another explosion, closer this time, rattled the windows of her office. The battle was intensifying. Go to the evacuation shelter, she ordered. Stay with your daughter. And pray your husband doesn't level half the village defeating the people hunting you. Suki nodded once, gathering Hikari into her arms. As they turned to leave, Tsunade called after them. One last question, Uchiha. Why return to Konoha at all? Why not stay hidden somewhere safer? Suki paused in the doorway, Sharingan fading to reveal dark eyes that held unexpected vulnerability. Because despite everything, she said softly, this is still home. And Hikari deserves to know where she comes from, the good and the bad. With that, she was gone, leaving Tsunade alone with the weight of forbidden knowledge and the distant thunder of a Jinchuriki unleashed. Smoke billowed over Konoha's eastern district, thick columns of black and gray twisting skyward like malevolent spirits. The acrid stench of burning clay and scorched earth hung in the air, clouding lungs and stinging eyes. Dawn had barely broken, painting the destruction in sickly orange hues that made the village look like it was bleeding. In the sealed confines of Tsunade's private medical laboratory, 3 floors beneath the Hokage Tower, tension crackled like electricity. Antiseptic-scented air hummed with the soft beep of monitoring equipment and the whisper of papers being shuffled. Suki sat rigidly on an examination table, half dressed in a medical gown that left her back exposed. Her posture screamed defiance, spine ramrod straight despite the exhaustion etched into every line of her face. Across her pale skin, a network of faint silvery scars traced where the curse mark had once been. A spiderweb of memories forever branded into flesh. Tsunade circled her like a predator, amber eyes narrowed in clinical focus as she catalogued each anomaly, each telltale sign of a story that defied belief yet couldn't be denied. Behind her, 3 ANBU guards stood motionless as statues, faces hidden behind animal masks, their presence a silent threat. The cellular restructuring is unlike anything I've ever seen, Tsunade muttered, gloved fingers tracing a scar that curved along Suki's shoulder blade. Not a transformation technique. Not a genjutsu. Not a biological manipulation. Her eyes narrowed. Your entire genetic expression has been rewritten at the fundamental level. Suki said nothing, dark eyes fixed on a point in the middle distance, refusing to flinch even as Tsunade's probing fingers prodded tender areas. Where's my daughter? She finally asked, voice low and controlled. With your husband. Tsunade moved to face her, blocking her view of the ANBU guards. Naruto is recovering. The battle with Akatsuki left half the market district in ruins, but both enemy shinobi retreated when reinforcements arrived. A reluctant hint of admiration colored her tone. He fought 2 S-rank criminals to a standstill. Alone, pride flickered across Suki's face before vanishing behind her usual mask of stoic indifference. He's gotten stronger, so have you apparently. Tsunade picked up a chart, flipping through pages of test results. Your chakra network has been completely reconfigured, more efficiently than any medic could achieve through surgery. And the residual energy in these scars. She trailed off, brow furrowing. I need the full story. Now, I told you, you told me the what. I want the how. Tsunade slammed the chart down, making instruments rattle on nearby trays. Detailed. Begin with the curse mark. How did it interact with the dimensional rift? The distant screech of a hawk penetrated even this underground sanctuary, making both women tense. Above them, Konoha was still on high alert, still bracing for another Akatsuki strike that might come at any moment. Suki's gaze flicked to the ambu guards. Understanding the silent request, Tsunade waved a dismissive hand toward the masked figures. Wait outside. This is a confidential medical examination. Once the door sealed behind them, Suki's shoulders loosened fractionally. Her chin dipped in acquiescence. What I'm about to tell you goes beyond medical curiosity. If Danzo learns the full extent of what happened, I'm not doing this for Danzo. Tsunade's voice softened despite herself. I'm doing it for you, for your family, and for this village. Some secrets are too dangerous to keep, even from the Hokage. Suki closed her eyes, as if assembling fragments of memory into coherent form. When she spoke, her voice took on a distant quality, dropping into a lower register that echoed her former self. The curse mark was killing me from the moment it was placed. Orochimaru designed it for a male host. He specifically targeted me as Sasuke Uchiha, heir to the Sharingan. But it was like... She paused, searching for the analogy. Like transplanting the wrong blood type. My body fought it constantly. You never showed symptoms, Tsunade interjected. The reports from Kakashi, I hid it. I've spent my entire life hiding things, Tsunade. Bitterness edged Suki's voice. Pain. Weakness. My actual gender. What was one more secret? The Hokage nodded for her to continue, pulling a chair closer to sit face to face with her patient. When the dimensional rift opened, it was like being torn apart at the cellular level. Everything that made me was scrambled, disassembled. Suki's eyes darkened with remembered agony. The curse mark went haywire, spreading across my body faster than I could contain it. By the time I crashed into that other world, I was more cursed than person. 5 years earlier, the pocket dimension. Purple fire consumed her, eating through skin and muscle, burrowing into bone marrow, rewriting her from the inside out. She thrashed against the crystal floor of the cave, hands clawing bloody furrows into unyielding stone as the curse mark spread like poison through her system. Hold on. Naruto's voice pierced the haze of agony, his hands pinning her shoulders as she arched and convulsed. Just hold on. I don't know what to do. Blood dribbled from between her clenched teeth where she'd bitten through her tongue. The mask had come loose in her thrashing, hanging half off her face. But she lacked the strength to care about her exposed identity. Death was galloping toward her on black wings, and all she could think was, not like this. Not before I kill him. Not before I avenge them. It's killing you, Naruto whispered, blue eyes wild with panic as he watched the cursed flames consume more of her flesh. What is this thing? What did that snake bastard do to you? She couldn't answer, could barely breathe through the molten agony searing through her veins. The curse mark pulsed malevolently at the junction of her neck and shoulder, its 3 tomos spreading into a web of fiery patterns that now covered half her body. Desperation sharpened Naruto's features. I'm going to try something. His jaw set with that stubborn determination she recognized even through the pain haze. It might kill you faster, but you're dying anyway. He closed his eyes, hands forming a seal she didn't recognize. When his eyes reopened, they blazed crimson, vertical pupils surrounded by a ring of hunting blue. A shroud of bubbling red chakra enveloped him, caustic and ancient. The fox thinks he can burn it out. Naruto's voice had dropped an octave, overlaid with something guttural and inhuman. But it's going to hurt worse before it gets better. She would have laughed if she could form words. Hurt worse? What could possibly hurt worse than this living cremation? Naruto's chakra-cloaked hands hovered over the epicenter of the curse mark. Ready? She managed a jerky nod, bracing for whatever fresh hell awaited. His palm slammed down on the curse mark, and the universe went white. Later hours? Days. She would remember only fragments. Screaming until her throat bled raw. The sensation of being unmade, cells liquefying and resolidifying in new configurations. Naruto's voice, sometimes pleading, sometimes commanding, sometimes barely human as the Nine Tails' influence waxed and waned. And through it all, a strange sense of rightness. As if her body, after years of living a lie, was finally aligning with truth. When consciousness returned fully, she lay gasping on the crystal floor, drenched in sweat and blood, every nerve ending screaming with oversensitivity. But the burning had stopped. The curse mark's fire had been extinguished, leaving behind a latticework of silvery scars where it had branded her flesh. She blinked up at the crystal ceiling, awareness filtering back in disjointed pieces. Her body felt wrong. No, not wrong. Different. Changed. Her chest felt heavier, her hips wider, her entire center of gravity shifted. You're awake. Naruto's voice came from nearby, ragged with exhaustion. He crawled into her field of vision, face streaked with soot and blood, eyes once again their normal blue. I thought I killed you. She tried to speak, but produced only a croak. Naruto hurriedly pressed the water skin to her lips, supporting her head as she drank. What? She paused, startled by the higher pitch of her own voice. What happened? Naruto's expression was a battlefield of conflicting emotions. The fox's chakra burned out the curse mark. But it changed you, changed her. The words barely penetrated the fog of confusion and pain. With trembling arms, she pushed herself upright, ignoring Naruto's protests. Her body's unfamiliar proportions sent her toppling sideways into his waiting arms. Easy, he murmured. You've been unconscious for 3 days. And your body is different now. She looked down at herself, and the world tilted on its axis. Where once had been a flat, masculine chest, subtle curves now pressed against the tattered remains of her shirt. Her hands flew to her face, finding softer angles, fuller lips. What did you do to me? She rasped, terror and confusion warring in her mind. I don't know, Naruto admitted, his arms still supporting her. The fox says the curse mark was rejecting you because it was meant for a male host. When his chakra burned it out, your body just corrected itself. Corrected itself. The words echoed strangely in her mind. But she began, then stopped. A lifetime of lies caught in her throat. Naruto's gaze was steady, unerringly perceptive. You're what? A moment stretched between them, talk with unspoken truths. Then, with a broken sound that was half laugh, half sob, she surrendered to the truth that had chased her since birth. I'm female, she whispered, the admission like shedding chains she'd worn so long she'd forgotten their weight. I was born female. My father, he wanted a son, demanded I be raised as one. Understanding dawned in Naruto's eyes, followed by a flash of anger, then softening compassion. So the curse mark didn't change you. It just revealed me, she finished. My true form. Naruto nodded slowly, processing this revelation with surprising calm. So, what should I call you? Not Sasuke anymore, I guess? The question caught her off guard. She'd been Sasuke for so long, the lie stitched so deeply into her identity, that she'd never considered an alternative. Her mother had whispered a different name once, in the dark privacy of her bedroom, a name meant for the daughter Fugaku refused to acknowledge. Suki, she said finally, the name foreign on her tongue. My mother called me Suki when no one else could hear. Naruto tested the name, rolling it on his tongue like tasting an exotic fruit. Suki. He smiled, that bright, irrepressible smile that had always irritated and comforted her in equal measure. It suits you. And somehow, in that strange crystal cave in an alien dimension, with her body remade and her deepest secret exposed, Suki felt something she hadn't experienced since the night her clan was slaughtered. She felt free. The healing took months, Suki concluded, her voice bringing Tsunade back to the present. The physical changes were just the beginning. My chakra network had to rebuild itself completely. I had to relearn basic motor functions, adjust my fighting style to a different center of gravity. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Naruto was patient. More patient than I deserved. Tsunade studied her, medical mind cataloging the impossible synthesis of chakra theory and biological reality sitting before her. And you never considered that the transformation might be reversible? That you could return to your male form? Something fierce flashed in Suki's eyes. This isn't a transformation, Tsunade. This is correction. The male form was the lie. A lie forced on me from birth, maintained out of necessity and inertia. Her chin lifted. I had no desire to reverse the truth. And Naruto? When did he realize who you were? Pain flickered across Suki's features. Not immediately. The mask, the changing chakra signature, my altered voice, they confused him at first. I let him believe I was a stranger, another dimensional traveler. It was easier that way. Until when? Until I couldn't hide anymore. Suki's gaze dropped to her hands, studying the delicate fingers that had once been broader, calloused by years of sword practice. Until I realized that dying alone in that place would mean dying with one more lie. The admission hung between them, vulnerable and raw in a way the proud Uchiha rarely allowed herself to be. Tsunade felt her medical detachment cracking despite her best efforts. She'd seen too many shinobi destroyed by secrets, consumed by patterns of deception until nothing remained but hollow shells wearing human faces. And the child? She asked, softening her tone. Hikari. Warmth bloomed in Suki's eyes at her daughter's name. A miracle. The pocket dimension changed us both in ways we're still discovering. Naruto's connection to the Nine Tails deepened. My Sharingan evolved. When Hikari was conceived. She paused, struggling for words. She carries both bloodlines, Uchiha and Uzumaki. The Sharingan and traces of the Nine Tails chakra. A combination that's never existed before, Tsunade murmured, mind racing with implications. No wonder Akatsuki targeted her, not just Akatsuki. Suki's voice hardened. Danzo would harvest her eyes in a heartbeat. The council would turn her into a weapon, a breeding stock for the next generation of special shinobi. You don't know that for certain, don't I? Suki cut her off, voice sharp as a blade. The Uchiha massacre happened because the council feared our power. My brother was ordered to slaughter his own family rather than risk rebellion. What wouldn't they do to control a child with two of the most powerful bloodlines in shinobi history? Tsunade couldn't argue. The dark underbelly of Konoha's leadership had always disturbed her. The callous calculations of Danzo and his Ilka cancer she tried unsuccessfully to excise. So now what? She asked, meeting Suki's gaze directly. Your secret is compromised. Akatsuki knows your identity. It's only a matter of time before the council connects the dots. We leave, Suki replied instantly. Tonight. Take Hikari somewhere beyond their reach. And Naruto? You'd ask the future Hokage to abandon his village? Something complicated crossed Suki's face. Love, guilt, determination. I wouldn't ask. But he'd come anyway. Tsunade knew she was right. The brash, lonely boy who'd once demanded the Hokage had at the top of his lungs had grown into a man who would burn the world for his family. The thought troubled her as much as it moved her. There's another option, she said carefully. Stay. Under my protection. Let me deal with Danzo and the council. Skepticism etched itself into Suki's features. How? By telling them a version of the truth. That you're a distant Uchiha relative who escaped the massacre. That the dimensional rift altered your chakra signature beyond recognition. Enough truths to satisfy their questions. Enough lies to protect your family. Hope and doubt warred on Suki's face. Before she could respond, a thunderous explosion rocked the building above them, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. Both women tense, combat ready in an instant. The laboratory door burst open. An ANBU operative stood in the threshold, porcelain mask cracked down the center. Lady Hokage. The village is under attack. Akatsuki again? Tsunade demanded, already moving toward the door. No. The ANBU's voice held confusion and disbelief. It's Itachi Uchiha. He's breached the eastern wall. Alone, the blood drained from Suki's face. She was moving before conscious thought, shoving past the ANBU, sprinting down the corridor with Tsunade's shouts fading behind her. Itachi. Here. Now. Her mind raced with terrible possibilities, each worse than the last. Had he come to finish what he started all those years ago? To eliminate the last witnesses to the Uchiha massacre? Had he come for Hikari? She burst into the hospital wing where she'd left Naruto and their daughter, Chakra already gathering for combat. The scene that greeted her froze her in place. The room was in shambles, furniture splintered, windows shattered. Naruto stood protectively before a hospital bed, golden chakra shrouding him like a second skin, 9 ethereal tails lashing behind him. In the bed, half hidden by Naruto's defensive stance, Hikari sat with eyes wide but remarkably unafraid, watching the standoff with the solemn intensity that made her seem far older than her years. And across the room, hands raised in the universal gesture of peaceful intent, stood Itachi, her brother, her clan's murderer, her blood and her nightmare. Hello, little sister, Itachi said softly, his voice barely carrying across the tension-thick air. You've changed. Suki's world narrowed to a pinpoint, every sense hyper-focused on the man before her. He looked gaunt, where he had always been lean, pale, where he had always been fair. Deep lines carved channels beneath eyes that glowed crimson with the bloodline they shared. Get away from my family, she snarled, Sharingan activating instinctively, the tomo spinning with her rage. I'm not here to fight, Itachi replied, ignoring the killing intent radiating from both parents. His gaze shifted to Hikari, something like wonder softening his severe features. I came to see my niece. You don't get to call her that, Naruto growled, a tail of chakra lashing toward Itachi only to stop inches from his face. You don't get to claim family after what you did. Itachi didn't flinch, his eyes never leaving Hikari's curious face. She has mother's chin, he observed quietly. And her eyes. They're yours, Naruto, but the shape is Uchiha. Stop it, Suki hissed, edging closer to the bed, to her family. Say why you're really here or get out. A strange smile touched Itachi's bloodless lips. Always so direct, little sister. Some things never change, regardless of form. He coughed suddenly, a wet, racking sound that bent him double. Blood spattered from his lips, crimson against the white hospital floor. Naruto's chakra shroud faltered slightly, confusion warring with hostility. You're sick. Dying, actually. Itachi straightened with visible effort, wiping blood from his mouth with a casual gesture belied by the tremor in his hand, which tends to clarify one's priorities. And what are your priorities? Suki demanded, baffled by this unexpected development, but unwilling to lower her guard. Killing what remains of your clan, capturing the 9 tails for Akatsuki? Something like pain flashed in Itachi's eyes. Is that what you still believe? After all this time? Before Suki could retort, Hikari's small voice piped up from the bed. Mama? Is this man family? The innocent question landed like an explosive tag in the charged atmosphere. Suki froze, caught between truth and protective instinct, between past wounds and present dangers. Itachi answered before she could. Yes, little one. I'm your uncle Itachi. Hikari's eyes widened. I have an uncle? She looked to her parents for confirmation, excitement battling with their obvious tension. You said all our family was gone. The simple statement stabbed through Suki's heart. She and Naruto exchanged a pained glance. Years of shared decisions and careful half-truths crystallized in that moment of uncertainty. Itachi broke the impasse by sinking to his knees, bringing himself to Hikari's eye level despite remaining across the room. Your parents had good reasons to believe that. I've been away for a very long time. Did you live in the crystal place too? Hikari asked, innocence lending a surreal quality to the exchange. No. Itachi's smile held genuine warmth, startling in its sincerity. I've been in darker places. But I'm here now because I needed to see you. To see that the Uchiha bloodline continues, despite everything. Suki stepped forward, putting herself between her brother and daughter. That's enough. Hikari, this man is leaving. He's not going to be part of our lives. Why not? Hikari's question held the pure curiosity of childhood, uncomplicated by the weight of history. Because Suki began, then faltered. How to explain massacre and betrayal to a 4-year-old? How to distill years of hatred and pain into words a child could comprehend? Because I did something terrible, Itachi supplied, his gaze never leaving Suki's face. Something your mother can't forgive. She has every right to hate me. What did you do? Hikari persisted. Hikari, Naruto interjected gently. That's enough questions for now. But Itachi was already answering, his voice dropping to a near whisper. I killed our family. To protect the village. To protect your mother. To prevent a war that would have consumed everything. The words hung in the air like smoke, impossible to recall once released. Suki felt them strike her core, rattling foundations she'd built her entire existence upon. You're lying, she hissed, but doubt had already taken root. You killed them because you wanted to test your strength. You said so yourself. I said what you needed to hear. Itachi's eyes held hers, Sharingan fading to reveal tired, dark orbs so like her own. I needed your hatred, Sasuke, Suki. Needed you to grow strong enough to kill me, to avenge our clan. To restore the Uchiha honor by eliminating the one who betrayed them. Stop, Suki whispered, old pain and new confusion battling within her. I was 13, Itachi continued relentlessly. Given an impossible choice by the village elders. Kill my clan, who were planning a coup that would plunge Konoha into civil war. Or stand with them, and watch everyone, including you, die in the conflict. Naruto's chopper's shroud had dissipated completely. His expression thunderstruck as he absorbed Itachi's confession. The elders ordered the massacre? Danzo? Itachi nodded, another wet cough racking his body. I negotiated one condition. That you would be spared, Suki. That you would never know the truth. That you could hate me instead of Konoha. Why tell me now? Suki's voice cracked, emotion breaking through her carefully maintained control. Why ruin the purpose of your sacrifice? Because I'm out of time. Itachi gestured to his failing body. And because your daughter deserves to know her heritage. All of it. The glory and the shame. The truth, not the convenient lie. As if to emphasize his point, Itachi collapsed forward, blood spreading across the floor beneath him in an ever-widening pool. Naruto moved first, shinobi instincts overriding personal feelings as he caught the falling man before he struck the ground. He needs medical attention, Naruto called, blue eyes seeking Suki's in silent question. What do we do? Suki stood frozen, a lifetime of hatred warring with the terrible possibility that everything she believed, everything she'd built her life around, had been founded on lies. If Itachi spoke the truth, if he had killed their family on orders, to prevent greater bloodshed, then her entire existence had been shaped by a fiction. Mama, Hikari's voice cut through her paralysis. The uncle is hurt bad. Like when Papa got bit by the crystal snake. The simple observation, devoid of the complexity that paralyzed the adults, pierced Suki's indecision. She moved forward mechanically, helping Naruto lift her brother, her enemy, her last blood relative, onto the hospital bed. Hikari quickly vacated. "This changes nothing," she told him, voice tight with suppressed emotion. "Even if what you say is true, you still made your choice. You still killed them." Itachi's blood-flecked lips curved in a sad smile. "I know, little sister. I never expected forgiveness." His gaze shifted to Hikari, who watched from the safety of Naruto's arms. "I just wanted to see the future of our clan. To know my sacrifice wasn't in vain." His eyes drifted closed, consciousness fading as the toll of his illness and chakra expenditure claimed him. Suki stood over him, conflicting impulses warring within her. To finish what she'd started all those years ago. To kill the man who destroyed everything she loved. Or to save the brother who might have sacrificed everything, including his soul, to protect her. "We need Tsunade," Naruto said quietly, reading the conflict in her face. "Whatever you decide about the truth of his story, we can't let him die without verifying it." Suki nodded stiffly, logic penetrating the chaos of her emotions. If Itachi's confession was true, then Danzo and the elders were directly responsible for the Uchiha massacre. The implications sprawled outward like ripples in a pond. Political, personal, unimaginable. "Get Tsunade," she agreed. "And keep Hikari away from him until we know more." As Naruto slipped from the room with their daughter, Suki leaned over her unconscious brother, voice pitched low enough that only he could hear. If he could hear anything in his current state. "If you're lying," she whispered, "I'll kill you myself. But if you're telling the truth..." She swallowed hard, forcing out words she never imagined speaking. "If you're telling the truth, big brother, I will burn this village to the ground for what they made you do." Outside, storm clouds gathered over Konoha, heavy with unspent rain. Thunder rumbled in the distance, warning or promise, impossible to tell.